One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
I'm here. I'm actually here. I'm on YouTube. The encoding software, which is the thing that enables you to go live, it failed on Rumble and it failed on X, and I had to go directly here to YouTube. So that's where we are today. It's only going to be YouTube this morning. Plus, in addition to that, one of the other reasons I'm actually late is because we were trying to do, and there's so much content I have for you guys. So much. I mean, you got J.D. Vance doing a press conference in Israel. You've got Mike Johnson with the shutdown press conference that he does here on day 21. I've got that for you. President Trump is due up to do his Rose Garden party. We're going to obviously take that live. You won't miss a single second of it. I've got SV sending me all kinds of stuff here as well. We got a whole bunch of stuff, and I've got some additional news. So buckle in. We're going to be here for a while. Hopefully you guys are ready. Got your lunch, brought your lunchbox with you, did your best Fred Flintstone imitation, and you're ready to rock here. Let's do this. So just one other side note. I don't ever, well, I normally don't put personal stuff out there, but just to let you guys know, and whatever prayers you want to add into it, since we didn't have a prayer meeting this week, my grandson got into a head-on accident this morning. He's okay so far, and they're looking at him, making sure he doesn't have a concussion and things of that nature. So any prayers that you would love to send his way, I'm sure Ashley would be greatly appreciated, as well as I would. All right, since we are on a tight time frame, I am going to jump right into J.D. Vance, and as soon as President Trump comes on, we'll stop and then we'll get back to J.D. Vance because we have so much to cover. So this is J.D. Vance doing a press conference. He's over in Israel. While all this stuff is happening here, he's over in Israel trying to make sure things stay together with the peace party, with everything they're doing. So let's jump into this right away.
All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. It's great to have you. Look, I think that we are 1 week into President Trump's historic peace plan in the Middle East, and things are going, frankly, better than I expected that they were. This is a very, very tough situation. You have two peoples, two enemies who fought a very tough conflict against each other. You have a terrorist organization on one hand that murdered a lot of innocent people. You've got an Israeli army that was defending itself on the other, that has learned a lot over the past couple of years. And then, of course, you have an innocent civilian population in Gaza that's caught in the middle. But we're here at the Civilian Military Cooperation Center, which we are announcing the opening of. You have Israelis and Americans working hand in hand to try to begin the plan to rebuild Gaza, to implement a long-term peace, and to actually ensure that you have security forces on the ground in Gaza, not composed of Americans, who can keep the peace over the long term. So we've got a lot of work left to do. This is going to take a very, very long time, but I think Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and Admiral Cooper behind me have done an incredible job. I want to say just a couple of quick things, and then I want to turn it over to Steve Witkoff. Number one, the Israeli government has been remarkably helpful in this. I want to thank them, thank our Israeli partners, and all the folks particularly who are working hand in hand with their American friends here at the CMCC. And number two, I want to say that there is this weird attitude I've sensed in the American media and the Western media where there's almost this desire to root for failure, that every time something bad happens, that every time that there's an act of violence, there's this inclination to say, oh, this is the end of the ceasefire, this is the end of the peace plan. It's not the end.
I just wanted to break in a second. As you're seeing, it's kind of fuzzy and it stops it at some point. It's because of satellite feed coming all the way from Israel. It wasn't the clearest of fields, so every once in a while you may see some stoppage. It'll catch up. It might get blurry and get clear, but at least you'll be able to hear everything he says.
Exactly how this is going to have to happen when you have people who hate each other, who have been fighting against each other for a very long time. We are doing very well. We are in a very good place. We're going to have to keep working on it, but I think we have the team to do exactly that. So with all thanks to our partners, both in Israel, but all across the Gulf Arab states, Indonesia, the Turks, we are doing an amazing thing here, and I'm particularly proud of the American troops working at the command center who are coordinating this effort and making it possible. So with that, I want to thank Ambassador Steve Witkoff and turn it over to him to say a few things, and after everybody's said a few words, we'll take some questions. Thank you, guys. Steve?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. We're really proud of what's happened here. It's an amazing effort. It's a great coordination between our partners. We have a great team. Signing this deal up was a challenge in and of itself, but the implementation, that's where it really is going to be the most important. And I think we are exceeding where we thought we would be at this time. I think the Vice President has come out here. He sees that. The Secretary of State will be out here. I can't tell you what a privilege it is to work with the team that we have, with Jared, who's extraordinary, the President, of course, and the Vice President, and Admiral Cooper. I would also say this. We're learning so much here. This CMCC that we're setting up now, this is going to be used in other conflicts as we figure out all the intricacies of how to modulate a peace deal, go from war to peace. Lastly, in closing, I want to speak about the morning that me and Jared had. We met with 10 hostages and their families, and it was really an emotional moment. And I felt blessed to be in that room. Lots of tears, lots of people really, really grateful to President Trump for getting their children home. And you, of course, Mr. Vice President. And I want to observe that I didn't see any victims in that room. I saw strong people who have come out under very difficult circumstances. Their families are reunited, and they are so grateful. And it was just my privilege as an American to be there. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Jared?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Steve. First of all, we really appreciate your visit here. It's given a great boost of energy to everyone here, and your support through this whole effort has been really tremendous. What you see here today is really the opening of the CMCC. This has been something that's been envisioned by CENTCOM. Admiral Cooper will speak about that in a bit. but we always knew that the deal that we were working on would kind of have two phases to it. The first phase was obviously getting the live hostages out. We're currently making progress on the hostages, the bodies that are still there. I think almost half are out now, and we had very good meetings with the Israelis. I know the Vice President's here to put a lot of effort into that today to hopefully make sure we can complete that mission in phase 2. At the same time, the humanitarian aid, there's actually been surprisingly strong coordination between the United Nations and Israel, which is something that we've been able to help synthesize, get each other to air their concerns and to find out how we can do it better so that the aid reaches the people in Gaza and doesn't go into the wrong hands there. Finally, I'll say that there has already been a lot of efforts over the last years by really concerned people to think about what happens next in Gaza. And there's a lot of great things happening here. More will be released in the coming days. But the most important thing here is to figure out how you really get a good deconfliction coordination center. This really has been a startup. There's been a lot that's been done. It's amazing to think it's only been a week. But I actually, with the pace of work and the commitment of everybody, I think in a week from now you'll see even more progress. I want to echo what the Vice President said about how a lot of people are getting a little hysterical about different incursions one way or the other, but what we are seeing is that things are going in accordance. Both sides are transitioning from 2 years of very intense warfare to now a peacetime posture, and really thanks to Admiral Cooper, CENTCOM, and the CMCC to try to build that deconfliction mechanism in order to make sure that we can get to a proper de-escalation. We have some flags that we put up here. This is not fully representative of the countries that are here. It's happening very rapidly. The people are agreeing to come on board, agreeing to help. People really want to be a part of this, and it's just happening very, very quickly. So we'll try to continue to give the updates as it progresses. But really just thank you to the entire team here who's made all this possible. It's been a lot of sleepless nights, around-the-clock effort, and it's really been great coordination because everyone believes that it is possible to create something better in Gaza, and we have to believe it. We have to work hard for it, and if we all work hard to do that, then I do believe a great outcome is possible.
Well, Mr. Vice President, thank you for joining us here today at the CMCC. Consistent with our Commander-in-Chief's direction, this facility will be the hub for the delivery of everything that goes into Gaza as we look to the future, delivering on the Commander-in-Chief's commitments. 200 of America's sons and daughters who wear the cloth of the nation have stepped up and are serving here. I just couldn't be prouder, and I know that you are as well. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Admiral. And gentlemen, we'll take a few questions now. Sir.
I want to ask about the Turkish role. It's very concerning for Israelis. Turkey obviously has been a supporter of Hamas. What role will they have, and will they have troops that will be on the ground here or in the Gaza Strip? Thank you.
Well, I think, first of all, what troops are on the ground in Israel is going to be a question the Israelis have to agree to, and I'm sure that Prime Minister Netanyahu will have opinions about that, but we think everybody has a role to play here. Some of that's going to be financial, some of that's going to be in reconstruction, some of that's just in communication with the various parties to ensure that this deconfliction process actually works and is implemented. We're not going to force anything on our Israeli friends when it comes to foreign troops on their soil, but we do think that there's a constructive role for the Turks to play, and frankly, they've already played a very constructive role. We're very grateful for that. And you asked, they've supported Hamas in the past. No one who is a party to this conflict can look in the past and not point at something that they don't like or that they disagree with. Everybody who's been involved in this conflict can point at one other person. One of these flags can point at another flag and say, we hate that person for various reasons. The way that we're going to get to peace is to focus on the future, which is what the President of the United States has asked us to do. And we think everybody here is very willing to do that and is very eager to engage in that effort. Ma'am.
The ceasefire deal took months to negotiate. What do you think the likelihood is that it will last long term? If you had to put a number on it, a percentage.
Well, Jared's the investor here. I'm not going to give you a percentage, but look, what we've seen the past week gives me great optimism the ceasefire is going to hold. And if we get from where we were a week ago to a long-term, durable peace between Israel and Gaza, there are going to be hills and valleys. There are going to be moments where it looks like things aren't going particularly well. But given that, And given the history of conflict, I think that everybody should be proud of where we are today. It's going to require constant effort. It's going to require constant monitoring and supervision. That's part of the reason that Admiral Cooper and his team is here, is to mediate these disputes, to mediate these disagreements as they come up. But look, right now, I feel very optimistic. Can I say with 100% certainty that it's going to work? No. But you don't do difficult things by only doing what's 100% certain. You do difficult things by trying, and that's what the President of the United States has asked us to do. Sir.
Mr. President, Suleiman Masoud from Cannes. First of all, thank you for brokering the ceasefire deal. Two questions for you. Hamas was supposed to bring back all the hostages within 72 hours. There are still deceased hostages that are still in Gaza. Will you put a deadline for Hamas to bring back all these hostages? And second thing, President Trump tweeted about this today, Hamas killing their own people in Gaza, Palestinians who worked for Israel. What is your warning to Hamas about that?
Yeah, so Steve, I'm going to ask you to follow up here, but let me say just a couple of words about the deceased hostages. I mean, one of the stations that I met with, one of the groups that's working on this that I met with earlier, they actually have a photo of the 15 deceased hostages who are still in Gaza. It is a focus of everybody here to get those bodies back home to their families so that they can have a proper burial. Now, that said, this is difficult. This is not going to happen overnight. Some of these hostages are buried under thousands of pounds of rubble. Some of the hostages, nobody even knows where they are. That doesn't mean we shouldn't work to get them, and that doesn't mean we don't have confidence that we will. It's just a reason to counsel in favor of a little bit of patience. This is going to take a little bit of time. And look, our warning to Hamas is very straightforward. The terms of the 20-point plan that the president put out there is very clear. It's supported not just by Israel, but by all of our Gulf Arab friends. It's that Hamas has to disarm. It's that Hamas has to actually behave itself, and that Hamas, while all the fighters can be given some sort of clemency, they're not going to be able to kill each other, and they're not going to be able to kill their fellow Palestinians. Now, again, that's going to take a little bit of time. We're talking about how to set up the security and humanitarian apparatus to put all this in place. But right now, where I stand, I feel confident that we're going to be in a place where this peace lasts, where it's durable. And if Hamas doesn't cooperate, then as the President of the United States has said, Hamas is going to be obliterated. Steve, do you want to add anything about the hostages?
I think you said it, sir.
Okay, great. Ma'am.
From USA Today. Just to follow up on what you were just saying, how much time does Hamas have to lay down its arms before the United States either takes dramatic action or authorizes its allies to do so?
Well, look, the president actually put out a truth this morning that I thought was very instructive. We know that Hamas has to comply with the deal, and if Hamas doesn't comply with the deal, very bad things are going to happen. But I'm not going to do what the President of the United States has thus far refused to do, which is put an explicit deadline on it, because a lot of this stuff is difficult. A lot of this stuff is unpredictable. You basically have two regions in Gaza, one of which is relatively safe, I wouldn't say very safe, and one of which is incredibly dangerous. And part of ensuring that we get to a durable peace is to broaden the scope of the area that's safe. And the International Security Force is a big part of that. We don't yet have the International Security Force set up. That's something we're working towards. We have a number of volunteers who want to participate in that International Security Force. So my point is, I don't think it's actually advisable for us to say this has to be done in a week, because a lot of this work is very hard. It's never been done before. And in order for us to give it a chance to succeed, we've got to be a little bit flexible. I think what you're seeing from our Gulf Arab friends, certainly from our Israeli friends, is a certain amount of impatience with Hamas. But we're going to keep on working at this process, and we're going to keep on trying to bring the deceased hostages home, but also make sure that all Gazans are able to live in a prosperous and safe place. Yes.
So the White House indicated that actually there is a plan to start rebuilding Gaza, the parts of Gaza which is still under Israeli control. Is it so indeed? And can you tell us a little bit about this plan? How is it going to work?
Yeah, Jared, you want to say a few words about that? Okay.
So, first of all, no reconstruction aid, no reconstruction funds will be going into areas that Hamas still controls. And as far as the demilitarization goes, once the ISF is up, there needs to be a security force that they can feel safe from, that in order for it to be the transition to be complete. So that needs to happen. There are considerations happening now in the area that the IDF controls, as long as that can be secured to start the construction as a new Gaza in order to give the Palestinians living in Gaza a place to go, a place to get jobs, a place to live. So that's one of the many things being considered. Right now, again, there's been several work streams that have occurred over the last years. Those are all being synthesized and updated here at the center, and then they'll go before President Trump and the Board of Peace to get recommendations on what to build, how to phase it, but that's definitely something now that's being very strongly considered.
Great. Sir?
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your support.
Oh, sorry. Why don't we do the guy in the back, and then we'll do you in the blue jacket. Thank you.
So much,
Go ahead.
Mr. Vice President.
Could you speak up for me?
Yeah, I will try. So thank you so much, Mr. Vice President. And my question is, from the level of cooperation that you just saw today here in this place, how you see the, let's say, future of normalization in Israel in the region, if you see like a cooperation, growing cooperation between Israel and other Gulf states that we don't see from the outside?
Yeah, well, you know, I think Steve put it best, which is that this model, I think, could serve for a foundation for normalization, not just in the Middle East, but across the world. Because what we're taking, again, is a long-term, protracted conflict with two enemies who really don't like each other, and we're actually creating a model that can lead towards sustainable peace. Now, we know that a lot of our Gulf Arab friends would like to have normalized relations with Israel. We know that getting this peace on a sustainable pathway is sort of the critical first step of that. But look, I feel very optimistic about where we are. Knock on wood, you never know how this stuff is going to go. But given what I've seen, given the incredible talent and effort that's going in to the reconstruction of Gaza, to the long-term security of the Gazans in that territory, I feel very good about where we are. And again, if we get this right, I really do think it's going to be a domino that leads to a lot of further peace all across the region. Sir.
Vice President Vance, firstly, a quick one is, did you come here because you thought Israel massively overreacted to the killing of its two soldiers? And secondly, following the reaction to this plan, do you now believe it is feasible to have a governance structure for Gaza that does not include strong Palestinian voices?
Well, so on the first question, no. My visit had nothing to do with events of the past 48 hours. We had actually tried to plan this visit, frankly, months ago, and now we thought this would be a good time to do it. It ended up working out. As you know, sometimes calendars are difficult, especially when you're the Vice President of the United States. But I wanted to come. I wanted to check in on things. I wanted to, talk to the troops who are working very hard to coordinate this massive relief effort. And I wanted to just see how things were going and put some eyes on it so I could call the President of the United States and actually, it's one thing to read about it. It's one thing to talk with Jared and Steve on the phone about what's going on the ground. It's another thing to actually shake somebody's hand, to look them in the eye and to understand what are the challenges, what are the things they need from me. I mean, I heard from relatively junior troops very simple things that would make their lives easier that I'm going to take back to Washington and hopefully help them with. That's why you do a visit like this, not because of anything that's happening on the ground. On your question about what is the ultimate, authority in Gaza look like, I don't know the answer to that question. And I think what's so cool, what's so amazing about what these guys have done is that we're creating a governance structure that is very flexible to what happens on the ground in the future. We need to reconstitute Gaza. We need to reconstruct Gaza. We need to make sure that both the Palestinians living in Gaza, but also the Israelis are able to live in some measure of security and stability. We're doing all those things simultaneously. And then I think once we've got to a point where both the Gazans and our Israeli friends can have some measure of security, then we'll worry about what the long-term governance of Gaza is. Let's focus on security, rebuilding, giving people some food and medicine. If we get to the point where we're arguing exactly what the governance structure in Gaza is long-term, then we should pat ourselves on the back. That's a very good problem to have, but I won't anticipate that problem before we actually have it. I'll take a couple more and then we'll get moving. Ma'am. Can you just speak up?
Renata Brito with the Associated Press.
Thank you.
Could you give a bit more details about the International Security Force, which countries are going to be part of this? Are these troops in Gaza? And also about the disarmament plan or decommission plan. Are there incentives for Hamas to do that in a timely fashion? Any details?
The incentives are that unless Hamas disarms in accordance with the agreement, very bad things are going to happen, right? And also the incentive is that if they disarm, there is a better future for everybody on the other side of it. But in terms of the International Security Force, Steve and Jared, Admiral Cooper, are working on that very issue right now. Remember, this peace deal was struck under the president's leadership literally a week ago. The hostages were returned, 6 days ago, 5 days ago? So we're in the phase now where we're actually starting to conceptualize what that international security force would look like. I think it's important for Americans to know a couple of things. Number one, there are not going to be American boots on the ground in Gaza. The President of the United States has made that very clear. All of our military leadership has made that very clear. What we can do is provide some useful coordination. How do you take, the Gulf Arab states, plus Israel, plus plus the Turks, plus the Indonesians, how do you actually get those folks to work together in a way that actually produces long-term peace? The only real mediators are the United States of America. And so that's the role that we're going to play. I think the American people should be proud of it, but they should know that there are going to be no American boots on the ground in Gaza. Sir, in the back.
I'd like to ask about a different threat. We see Iran rearming again, trying to build again their nuclear weapon. Could we expect in Israel to see the U.S. Army attacking again in Iran?
Could you ask the very last part?
Could we expect the U.S. Army to attack again in Iran like you did in the last time in Fordow?
Well, I'm not going to make any announcements here today. The President of the United States has been very clear about our policy with regards to Iran. It's that he actually wants Iran to be prosperous. He wants to have good relations with the Iranians, but they cannot have a nuclear weapon. And so we're going to keep on using and exhausting every diplomatic means possible to try to ensure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. That's our focus, and that will remain our focus for the indefinite future. Let me just leave us with one final thought here. So I've been to Israel once in my entire life. I came for about 36 hours, and as a Christian, I think the world's Christians will know that this country, that this region of the world means a great deal to me. And at some point today, I hope to go, or at some point in the next couple of days, I should say, I hope to go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which Christians believe is the site that Jesus Christ was crucified in. And
Not that kind of a comet. A comet is a new AI-powered web browser from Perplexity. Let me ask you something. How much time do you spend every day on a web browser? How much time do you spend clicking around online, searching, scrolling, typing, having endless tabs open? That's a lot of stuff for you to handle and be able to go back and forth to find things. Well, stop it. You don't have to do that anymore. Comet will do that for you. Using Comet feels like having a personal assistant living in your web browser that can actually do things for you across the internet. It gives you answers. It finds things for you. For example, you can ask Comet to handle tasks, and it literally clicks, types, searches, and scrolls just like you would. But it's getting things done for you in the background while you go about your day. Comet can shop for you. It can make reservations. It can book your travel for you. It can summarize articles or videos. It can send emails. It can schedule meetings and a lot more to make your lifestyle much easier. Comet doesn't just give you answers. It gets things done. That's pretty cool. Very cool. It's AI that actually helps you in your daily life today. Before you automatically say no, because I know there's so many people who are so resistant to AI, try it. Actually, try it. You'll be shocked at how it will make your life so much easier. You're in full control of what Comet can do at all times. And if you download Comet today, you'll get 1 month of Rumble Premium for free. So this is the perfect time for you to get Comet. Get yourself your own digital personal assistant who will do stuff for you. Trust me, you won't believe how easy it is and how much time you'll save. I use Comet daily to help me find a lot of the news I bring to you guys. Download Perplexity's new AI web browser, Comet, by heading to http://pplx.ai/Barry. You'll see the link in the description below. And let your browser work for you. And remember, if you download Comet today, you get a month of Rumble Premium for free. Again, that's pplx.ai/Barry. Go now and take back your time online. Reclaiming my time. All right, so just to let you know that, again, that feed coming from Israel, that was the feed. It was kind of Max Headroomy look to it. And also some of the stuff across the internet right now is having some really, really big issues. So I understand it buffered even while I was talking for a while. can't do anything about it. President Trump is about to walk out here, so we'll go ahead and take that. He's obviously
The Democrats
coming.
are here, right?
Oh, there he is.
Well, I want to thank everybody. This has
Hold on. Let me go ahead and rewind that real quick because I was looking at something else. Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. What a friendly group this is. No Democrats are here, right? Well, I want to thank everybody. This has been a labor of love. You know, we took over a building that was not properly taken care of. It just wasn't. It's a very special building, and we are taking care of it. This was grass, and when you have a news conference, and this was going on for many years, but everybody would just sink into the mud. It was extremely luxurious grass, especially when it was raining, because you'd go down about 5 inches into the mud. And when we had a press conference here, all the press standing back there, they'd be cursing me. The women would be lifting up their shoes, saying, "You've destroyed my shoes. This is terrible." So we got a stone that's the exact same stone and color as the White House itself, because we wanted the friendly feeling of that light color. And it reflects the sun, and it keeps you cool even in the summer. And we've had press conferences. We finished it about a month ago. This is, as you see over here, the Presidential Walk of Fame. And we had this long wall with half windows because that used to be a swimming pool on the other side of the wall. That was the swimming pool where Jackie would say, "I hear women inside." Are women inside? Quite a famous, I'm not saying anything, this was a part of a movie. And the Secret Service said, "No, ma'am, there's no women inside, ma'am. I'm sorry, ma'am, you're going to have to move along." "But I hear women inside." "No, ma'am, you'll have to move along, ma'am." So that was the famous swimming pool. Now it's even worse. It's for the media. They covered the pool up. And now it's for the media. And I think we have a small representative group. I don't think they allowed the rest of them. I can't believe it. What happened? They're all on the other side of the wall. Can you believe it? Because this is supposed to be sort of a private event. And there is no such thing in politics as a private event. Lindsey, you learned that a long time ago, right? The great Lindsey Graham. Doing fantastic. You're up 34 points, Lindsey. That's not bad, I'll tell you. It's not bad. So we did the Presidential Walk of Fame from the great George Washington all the way to, well, I think we have to rate him above me. So less than great, less than George. Somebody went up there, they say, "You're the third best president in the United States." This was on television, third best. And they said, "Who are the first two?" "George Washington and Abraham Lincoln." And I got extremely angry at this man. You know, you can't. It's going to be tough to beat, Mr. Senator. It's going to be, John. It's going to be very tough to beat Washington and Lincoln, but we're going to give it a try, right? Hey, they didn't put out 8 wars, 9 coming. All right, we put out 8 wars, and the 9th is coming. Believe it or not. So I just want to say it's great to be with you. And when we're finished later on, we're going to have a little quick lunch, and they do great food at the White House. And this is used sometimes for evening, where we've had some incredible people for the evening, and some of the big foreign leaders have been coming. And most excitingly, on the other side, you see the fence and the wall. We're building a world-class ballroom. You know, for 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom here. We don't have a ballroom. We have a little cocktail area, but we don't have a ballroom. The East Room, it's called, is a very small cocktail area. It holds about 88 people if it's tight. And I said, if I do this again, I'm going to get a ballroom built, and we're putting up our own money. The government is paying for nothing. You probably hear the beautiful sound of construction to the back. You hear that sound? Oh, that's music to my ears. I love that sound. Other people don't like it. I love it, Josh. I think when I hear that sound, it reminds me of money. In this case, it reminds me of lack of money because I'm paying for it, so it's the opposite. But it's going to be one of the most beautiful ballrooms anywhere in the world, and it's going to be able to take care of tremendous things. When you have, as an example, I'm going to see President Xi in 2 weeks. I'm going over to South Korea. We're going to meet in South Korea. We're going to talk about a lot of things. They want to discuss the fact that they're paying 157% tariff. It's a little higher than they thought. And we're doing very well. I think we're going to do well in that negotiation. We've done well, as you know, with Japan, with South Korea, with Europe. The European nations got together. We made a deal. And it was all based without the tariffs. You could have never made the deal. I'll tell you what, tariffs equal national security. Remember that. Tariffs equal national security. You got to remember that. And they also equal wealth for our nation because we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in a very friendly manner, given to us by nations that used to take it from us. And they used tariffs on us. We never used it on them because we were foolish. Or we were led by people that weren't business people. But it really does. It equals national security. And I wouldn't have put out, I mentioned 8 wars, 9 coming. Of the 8, 5 were based solely on trade and tariffs. India, Pakistan were going at it. 2 nuclear powers and serious nuclear. 7 planes shot down. They were ready to go. And I called them up. I said, you go to war and we're not doing a trade deal. And they said, well, what does one thing have to do with the other? I said, it has a lot. You're nuclear powers. And if you do it, we're not doing a trade deal. And 24 hours later, they called me. We have decided not to do it. We stopped the war. We stopped a potential disaster, a nuclear disaster because of trade. And it's been really amazing. But the tariffs have made us a wealthy country. They've given us tremendous defense. They've given us things that we can do for other countries, very positive. But again, really, it's national security, it's national defense, and they are so important. And it's incredible that presidents, for the most part, didn't know how to use them, when to use them. If you go back, you'll see some of the presidents that were the most successful were believers in tariffs. And I even see foreign countries now that we are doing very well with taking ads. Don't go with tariffs. They're taking ads. I saw an ad last night from Canada. If I was Canada, I'd take that same ad also. But they're actually on television taking ads. But I do believe that everybody's too smart for that. We have a very, very big and important case coming up. We should win the case based on the legal merit. We should also win the case based on all of the things I just said. But we're a wealthy country again. Last week, as you know, they found $31 billion. They came to see me. Sir, we found $31 billion. They said, we don't know why. I said, was this a good find or a bad find? It was a good find. It was a plus 31. We're used to finding negative 31s, right, for the last 30 years. I said, check the tariff shelf. Well, those tariffs haven't kicked in. Yes, they did. They kicked in 2 months ago. Check it. He comes back 2 hours later. Sir, you were right. We have an additional $31 billion, billion, not million, Lindsay, billion, that we just found from tariffs. They kicked in earlier than we thought. You were right. We're a wealthy nation again, and we're a nation that can be secure. We're a nation that can start paying down our debt. And with tariffs, we're the wealthiest nation ever in the history of the world. Without them, we've got to slog. We've got to slog. But remember this, other nations, including China, Japan, European nations, they used tariffs against us for many years. That's why we owe $37 trillion. That's why. But they used tariffs very successfully against us, and we had presidents that never fought it. But now you have a president that does fight it. So I just want to welcome you to the incredible Rose Garden. It's just an incredible place. It was done. We did it, brought it back to health. It was in very bad shape, actually, and we brought it back to health. First Lady Melania did a fantastic job on it. The surrounds and everything. It's all brand new wiring. You know, underneath there's a lot of wire, a lot of things. Everything brand new, everything beautiful. The only thing we did is we had to get a hard surface here because nobody could use it because of the grass. So I just want to welcome you, and I hope you're going to be here a lot. We're going to use it for meetings. We're going to use it for press conferences. Now we can use it. It was unusable before, and now we can use it. But everything that you see was redone. All of this was redone, and the whole White House is being redone. Some of you came through what called they call the Rose Hall. They call it different names, but you probably noticed, I don't know if you came through this door, did you notice the white marble floor that was put there? That was made out of Home Depot tiles, about 1 foot by 1 foot. They were all broken, about 30 years old. And I replaced it with book-matched marble, paid for by your friend, President Trump. It's like, it's amazing how people like it when you say you paid for it. When I say I paid for it, they say, oh, I love it. But it really, they did a beautiful job. They're great talents. They're very talented marble people I have. And they replaced it with beautiful Paradiso marble and statuary marble. And it's really, really beautiful. I want to thank the outstanding leadership team, and you really do have that. Majority Leader John Thune, who's been my friend. He really, really has done an amazing job. Thank you, John. Thank you. Done an amazing job. I didn't get to know John as well in the first term, and I've gotten to know him very well over the last 9 months, John, and you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Really great. Majority Whip John Barrasso, who's outstanding man. Thank you, John. Thank you. Great guy, too. Conference Chair Tom Cotton. He loves that military. He loves the, he loves the military. Policy Committee Chair Shelley Moore Capito. Shelley, thank you very much, Shelley. Vice Chair James Langford. Very good, James, thank you. And you know, we have everybody but one person here. You know, everybody showed up. I figured you'd have like, I'd say 40 would have been a good number, right? We have everybody. We're just missing one person. You'll never guess who that is. Let me give you, he automatically votes no on everything. He thinks it's good politics. It's really not good politics. He's an automatic no. But I don't know. Look, if he wanted to come, I'd probably let him come, right? I'd let him come. Begrudgingly, but would let him come. And National Republican Senatorial Committee Chair, an unbelievable guy, Tim Scott. You know, Tim, I shouldn't say it because it's so, I don't know if it's going to be. But Tim ran, and he was very effective and very good. But he was on the debate stage and everything else, he was good just because he's good. But he wasn't as good as they thought he was. And when he got out of the race, he endorsed me almost immediately. And I used him as a surrogate, and I wasn't sure if I should because, you know, sometimes I want a total lunatic to get up and fight for me. And Tim is a really good person, so I wasn't sure. And I put him on the stage, and he ripped the heart out of everybody. He was so brutal. He was so unbelievable. It turned out to be absolutely one of my best surrogates, and it includes a lot of you people that were here. You were all surrogates. But Tim ripped these people apart. And after watching 2 or 3 times, then I wanted him all the time, right, Susie? I said, I want Tim Scott, get up there. But he was so good. And I said to him, Tim, when you fought for yourself, you were much different. When you fought for me, you were a tiger. You were like unstoppable. You were, really was. You all saw that. What's the difference? He said, I've never liked selling myself, and I love selling somebody that I really do believe in. I really believe in you. And I just felt that way. And it was so nice the way he expressed it. And I want to tell you, you are a champion. You are a winner, and congratulations. Thank you very much. I never love telling that story because I'm not sure if it's a good or a bad story, but I'm telling you, you are an amazing guy, and you fought for me so hard, and I really appreciate it. You got to be my #1 choice, Tim. So something happened. I appreciate it. And you're doing great doing what you're doing right now. I also want to thank the entire Senate Republican Conference for your tremendous work on confirmations. Boy, did we have a couple of weeks, huh? We had some, I signed like 150 of them, and I didn't use an auto pen, by the way. I signed. You know, when you're signing these important, like a general getting approved from 3-star to 4-star and all of these different things and big confirmations and, you know, big stuff, you really have an obligation to actually sign it, I think. You probably noticed right there, number 46, we put up, right? We put up a little bit of an auto pen. We have 46, we have 45, we have 47. It's very interesting. Yeah, 46 is an auto pen. It's up there. It stays up there. People like it. It's probably going to stay up there for a long time. And I know you're looking into that. And By the way, the auto pen person said he never spoke to Biden. He worked the auto pen. You're not allowed to do that. So if you're looking at anything, just remember it. And remember, they treated us very badly. They treated us very, very badly. So I think you're allowed to just report the truth, including the confirming of my cabinet much faster than first time. I mean, we went so fast, and I give John Thune and all of you credit for that. It was amazing. All of a sudden, I was calling John, I've got to get him approved. Come on, John, because I was getting like one every 2 weeks. And I have people, they left their job and they left everything, and it looked like they were, all of a sudden, it was like an avalanche. They walked in, James and James, my double James, I call them. They walk in and they had like so many of them. I said, you got to be kidding. Is this like, are you for real? Right, James? John Thune did his job, and you got them all done, and you have all those people out there working now, and instead of being very upset with the fact that we couldn't get them approved quickly. So I really appreciate it. You used a method that I wish you could use on U.S. attorneys. I have 10 U.S. attorneys who are phenomenal, a Harvard, a Yale, a this, a that, all top. And the problem is they're not going to ever be confirmed, I guess. I put them in. They'll be there for 3 or 4 months, whatever it's about, and then they have to leave. Because anytime you have, as you know, anytime you have a Democrat senator, not even 2, just 1, they'll say because of the time we're in. And that's so unfair. It's unfair to the public because the public voted for me in a landslide. And I'm supposed to be picking the U.S. attorneys. And this goes for judges also. But actually more so even for the U.S. attorney with the blue slip. So I have these phenomenal people, many of them young, but truly fantastic people. And they're wondering what's going to happen in another 3, 4, 5 weeks. They're going to have to leave office. I think it's a shame, and I hope you can do something about it, because I'd like to tell those people, we put you there, and you're not going to have on your resume for the rest of your life, you were there for 4 weeks or 6 weeks and you left like you got canned. So I hope you look at that. Very important. And after your pivotal changes to the Senate rules last month, as a result, this is what you did, the unprecedented obstruction by the Democrats. We've confirmed more than 175 public servants, people that are phenomenal, to keep posts. And that's just been over the last couple of weeks. It's an unbelievable thing what you've done, John, all of you together. So working closely with me and House majority, the Republican Senate also gave us the largest working class tax cut in American history. And you passed the Lake and Riley Act to throw illegal alien criminals out of our country. You passed the Genius Act and the Take It Down Act with the support of our wonderful First Lady. By the way, she got actual support from the other side. It was bipartisan. I think Rand didn't vote for it again, but I think it was only Rand. You had bipartisan support other than maybe Rand. But another one I'm going to ask you to vote for, and it's in the House now, and I hear it's doing well in the House, James. It's Kate's Law. A young lady named Kate Steinle, I remember it so well, probably 8 or 10 years ago now in San Francisco. She was holding hands with her father on the San Francisco pier, looking out into the water. It's beautiful. Everything was beautiful, but the person wasn't beautiful that did this. And this was an illegal alien that came into our country 5 times, was thrown out 4 or 5 times, I don't even know, but a lot, and came back and shot her through the head. And she went down and she looked at her father, Daddy, Daddy, something happened, and she immediately passed away in his arm. And, I mean, you can imagine, it was so sad, such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful person. Father was destroyed, virtually destroyed. And they they wanted to pass what they call Kate's Law, and it's now again in Congress, and I hear we're going to get it passed in Congress, and when it gets up to the Senate, I hope you guys can pass it. And basically, very simply, it says that if you're an illegal alien and you come in and you get thrown out, if you come back and get caught, you have to spend 10 years in jail. Very simple. Very simple. if they would have had that, Kate Steinle would be alive today. That was a big event at the time. If you remember, Bill O'Reilly, for those of you that like Bill, I think I like Bill, but he was the one, he devoted his life to that law, trying to get it passed. I think it's time that we pass it so that if you get taken out of the country and you come back illegally, knowing that this law is in existence, you go to jail for a 10-year period, and it's going to keep the repeat offenders from coming in. It's going to really keep them from coming in. Senate Republicans have already voted 11 times to get our government back and open for business. We have record business. We're going to be, I think, by the time I hit month number 12, I think we're going to have $20 trillion of investment. We're over 17 right now. As an example, President Biden had less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We're going to have $20 trillion in less than 12 months, and we're over 17 trillion right now. So it's the largest amount in our country by far, by many times. That's in our country. But here's the one. It's the largest amount in the history of the world. There's never been a country that's had anywhere near 17, or it will be 20, and it's going up fast. A lot of it's because of tariffs, because they're coming in because they don't want to pay tariffs. In other words, they make their product in a certain country, and they used to just send it in here, and there was no charge, absolutely. Now, if they have to pay a 20%, 30%, 50%, 100%, or 2% tariff, they say, well, it's better if I build my plant in the United States. It always amazed me I did this first term. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country in first term. We had COVID, and we did a good job with that. That was a curse for every country in the world. It was terrible. But we had the greatest economy we ever had. But if you remember, I started the tariffs, but I held it off because it wouldn't have exactly been good at the time to tell France, you know what they were going through, you know what Spain was going through and Italy was going through, that, by the way, we're going to charge you tariffs. But I had started the process. We were going, the country was doing good, and I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. I put the full tariffs on China. Biden left the tariffs because he couldn't, it was too much money, but they gave so many exceptions that they were essentially meaningless. In other words, here's the tariffs, but you don't have to pay if you look at somebody the wrong way. You don't have to pay. So they didn't pay very much. But with me, they were paying hundreds of billions of dollars. And again, I have a great relationship with President Xi. I expect to be able to make a good deal with him, and I want him to make a good deal for China, but it's got to be fair. For years, they were making $500, $600, $700 billion. $700 billion, and we'd be making nothing. It was a one-sided, honestly, we built their military. We built China's military with the money that we lost for so many years getting ripped off. So now we're going to have a fair deal. I think we're going to have a very successful meeting. Certainly there are a lot of people that are waiting for it. Maybe it won't happen. Maybe it won't happen. Things can happen where, for instance, maybe somebody will say, I don't want to meet, it's too nasty. But it's really not nasty, it's just business, and we're gonna do a good job representing you people and representing the people of our country. Unfortunately, in a craven and pointless act of partisan spite, Chuck Schumer, who I've known for a long time, and the radical left Democrats are holding the entire federal government hostage to appease the extremists in their party. And they are extreme. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. They're extreme. And you know what? We had a landslide election. We won the popular vote by a lot. We won the swing states, all 7. Remember, they said, oh, if Trump could get 3 swing states, he'd be. And, well, I didn't get 3. I got 7. We got all 7 by a lot, by record numbers. We won the Electoral College, 312 votes. They said, it's very hard for a Republican. It's harder for a Republican, although now I think we've swapped it. I think it's now harder for a Democrat, because if you see what we've done with the Hispanics, with the black workers and black men, and recently a poll came out with black men and women were doing so well. You know, they want security. They don't want to have their city destroyed. Women in Chicago, beautiful black women walking around with red MAGA hats. because they don't want to be mugged and shot and everything else. And then you see a Democrat get up and tell you how safe it is in Chicago. Do you know they've had, in a fairly short period of time, 4,000 murders? This is over a short period of time, 4,000 murders. And they had a holiday where they had 28 people killed and almost 100 shot. And then you listen to this guy, Pritzker. I've known the family for a long time. They threw him out because he was no good, and he became governor. He's got money through the family. He's got money through the family. But they threw him out. He became governor. I said, I wonder how he's going to do. It's a crime palace. It's a shame. And you know what we did in D.C. is unbelievable. You people, you can walk down the middle of the street, Mr. Senator. You can walk down. You can have your wife meet you at the restaurant, and she's not going to be accosted, shot, beat up, raped. It's unbelievable how bad it was. It was one of the worst in the country, and now it's stone cold. I don't say the word perfect, but it's pretty damn close. And, you know, they would average more than a murder a week in Washington, D.C. This is just before we got here, a murder a week. Think of that. The capital of, in my opinion, the capital of the world. They come from Iowa, they come from Indiana, they come from Florida. You call up the parents, I'm sorry, sir, your son has been shot and killed. We have no crime here now. We have no crime. And the National Guard has been unbelievable, the job. Unbelievable. And you know, it also looks better. I do a tour. I hop in that beast. I feel very safe in the beast. The windows are this thick. But I hop in the beast and I tell the Secret Service, let's drive around town. I used to do that myself. I could drive myself around. I actually like that better. But now I don't think it's a good idea. But we drive around in the streets. The place is looking the grass is good. The fences are down. There's no tents. There's no anything. We are looking like it's just a whole new look. And the most important thing, there's no crime. And we're going to fix the roads. We have great pavers. We're going to fix the medians in between the roads, which are half of them are falling down. We're going to take some of the tiles off the bridges, the tunnels that you have. They've been up for 40 years. They're rotted. And we'll put up brand new, gorgeous white tiles like it's supposed to be. But this place is looking really good. And we haven't even started the real fixing up of the town. We're getting rid of the graffiti. You notice there's almost no graffiti anymore. A lot of that beautiful statuary marble had red graffiti all over it, had bad signs up, and it stopped. We've taken out 1,700 career criminals and people that came in through an open border. They came in through Biden's open border, and we've taken them out. The thing having to do with all of the elements in the great, big, beautiful bill, I'll tell you, it's amazing what we've done. $200 billion in costs for medical. What we've done, $50 billion for rural hospitals. And remember, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on... Think of all of these things that we've done. This is the biggest, this is the greatest bill. Social Security, no tax on overtime. But no tax on tips. I got that from a waitress in Nevada. I was making a speech, and I'm at one of my restaurants in the hotel I own there, and I say, how are you doing? Well, sir, it's terrible. They're taxing my tips. They're going, I wouldn't have even thought that. And I looked at it, and she said to me, sir, there should be no tax on tips. I said, say it one time more. No tax on tips. I walked outside to the press. I said, there will be no tax on tips. She was right. And we won that state by a lot. That's not a state that we win by that much, David, but we won it by a lot. So it was pretty good. But that bill is chock full of so many different things. So it was the biggest bill. I'm actually saying this to the fake news so that they maybe print it, but maybe not, because you people know. It was the biggest bill ever passed in Congress. And what we did was a little risky. We put everything into the bill, John, right? And some people were against it. They said, no, you got to do small bites. And we gave it a shot, and we got it passed. I got a call from John. He said, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Sir, we have 4 hard no's. Could you please call him? I said, what time is it, John? It's 4 o'clock in the morning, sir. So I call up. One of you is sitting right here. I said, Jim, could I say hello to you? It's 4 o'clock in the morning, right? He said, sir, you have my vote. I said, wow. Then I called up another person. I'll use fictitious names. Doug, could I get your vote? You've got it, sir. Then I called up another one. How about Josh? Could I have your vote, Josh? Because I like Josh. And Josh, who can be very difficult, said, sir, you have my vote. His wife was screaming at him on the other side. Sir, you have my vote. But I called people, and they weren't really hard-nosed. They wanted a little attention, unfortunately, at 4 in the morning. Sometimes I like the ones that don't like the attention, but we'll take it anywhere we can. And we got it passed, right, John? And nobody thought that could happen because you have a small majority. And in the how about in the House, we had a majority of 3. We actually went down after that for a period of about 2 months. We went down to a majority in the House of 1. And I kept saying, you know, because I'll tell you, Mike Johnson's great. The team, these 2 teams, did you ever see 2 people more different? One's tall, one's slightly less tall. We want to be polite. They are very different people, but they're the same in terms of talent. They did the 2 guys, and they get along incredibly well. We all do. We get along great. But we passed a bill. We don't need to pass any more bills. We got everything in that bill. There's nothing else we have to put. We got the largest tax cuts in history. We got the extension of the Trump tax cuts. We got all of these things. And, you know, remember, they lie. They will look at I saw it the other day, they were talking about, I call it the great big beautiful bill, but that's what it is, the great big beautiful, the biggest bill ever passed. And what they say, they make up stories. And I saw they were interviewing a senator, and they said, well, what's wrong with their bill? He didn't know what to say, because there's nothing he could say. It covers everything. He said, death, death. It brings death. Now, if I'm a regular person and I hear that, I say, oh, that's terrible. But it's just the opposite. It brings life. It brings Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. It secures all those things. And they just are so bad. You know, they said death. It was like death. And there's nothing about death. Theirs is death, because they're going to lose Medicaid. They're going to lose Social Security. They're going to lose Medicare. All of those things are going to be gone because the whole country would be bankrupt, and you're not going to have any kind of medical insurance. So with us, it's the opposite. And it's a great bill. We don't need any more. And I want to just say from the beginning, our message has been very simple. We will not be extorted on this crazy plot of theirs. They've never done this before. Nobody has. You always vote for an extension. Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats need to vote for the clean, bipartisan CR and reopen our government. It's got to be reopened right now. We're not doing that. They are the obstructionists. And the reason they're doing it is because we're doing so well. We're doing well all over the world. We're doing well with the close to $20 trillion that I just told you about. It will be that number, but even if you take it down to over 17, that's a guarantee. We're doing well with everything. Car plants are pouring back into our country. AI plants, we're leading, we're dominating China right now in AI. And I did something that I think you'd like, because we have an old grid. It's a tired grid. It doesn't have the juice that you need to fire up these plants. You know, these plants will need more than double the energy we have right now for the whole country. That's how big it is. And we can't do that. There's no way we can do that. China's building right now 52 power stations. But I did something better. I'm letting everybody build their own power plant, so they'll become like an electric utility in addition to AI. But if they want to build their own plant and we get their approvals within less than a month, it used to take 5 years prior to rejection. Sometimes a guy in Louisiana, they had one that took 12 years, and then they got rejected. I got it approved in 2 weeks when I got into office. That was the first term. And the plant is up now, and it's been a great thing for the state. I did it twice, actually. I got 2 of them that were dead after 12 years, and I got them approved, both of them, in less than a week. And that's what we're doing. Lee Zeldin, by the way, is doing a phenomenal job, Environmental Commissioner, I have to tell you. He knows that we have to get them fast, and we're getting them fast. So we're leading China in the AI race by a lot. Under Biden, Democrats voted 13 times for continuing resolutions to keep the government open. And all we want is simply to ask them to do it once again. They always voted for it. They never voted against it. Nobody votes against it. But they do that, and they do. It's partially my fault. I mean, I'm watching you, and I'm looking at all these great faces that I've seen, really great people. I think with few exceptions, a couple of you I don't like that much, but with few exceptions, great people. And you look at what they do, and you look at the game they play, and it's a horrible game. And, you know, we have the hottest country ever. This is the hottest country anywhere in the world. And I say this, I'm sure you've heard me say it, but I was over in the Middle East, and the King of Saudi Arabia and others also said essentially the same thing. They said, you know, President, a year and a half ago, your country was dead. We never thought we'd see this. And right now, you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We do. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world, which tells you about leadership, and that includes your leadership. So as you know, my door is always open to anyone. It's not like that AOC. How about her, where she said, she's talking about having rebellions and everything. She said, well, my door is always open. But she's not the leader. I'm sure the leaders felt very nicely about when she said her door is open. Who the hell wants to go into her door anyway? She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. She's the one that started. You know, I remember, I'll never forget, she never took a course on the environment. And I watched her one day, and she was on television. She said, yes, our planet will be dead within 12 years. That was a long time ago. Our planet was supposed to be dead. Remember the 12-year theory? We were environmentally dead. Now, these people, they've got an agenda that nobody quite understands. The good news is they don't understand it either. They really have no idea. But the people do. The people understand. We're giving you the biggest tax cuts in history. All of these things, it all adds up that we should do fantastically well in the midterm. The only thing wrong with the midterms is that statistically, when you look, a president gets elected, and for some reason, and nobody, even the great John Thune, cannot explain to me, for some reason, even if he's a reasonably good president, and we've had success like nobody, but for some reason, you lose the midterms. I don't know why. I mean, the odds are tremendously against, like 92% or something. It doesn't make sense. If you have a great presidency, it only makes sense that you win the midterm. So there should be no reason for it. Somebody's going to explain there might be some dark, deep psychological reason where they want to vote the opposite way. I don't know what it is, but we have to win the midterms. Otherwise, all of the things that we've done, so many of them are going to be taken away by the radical left lunatics. I mean, we're going to end up with a communist mayor in New York. Can you believe it? A communist. Remember, I would always say, we will not have a socialist elected in our country. Remember, I'd say that all the time. And I was right. We skipped socialists. We got a communist elected. So I didn't tell a lie. I didn't tell a lie. I was right. We'll have a communist, not a socialist. But we've already seen the impacts of the dangerous game that they're playing. Democrats are causing delays in our air traffic control system. So important. We wouldn't have had, you know, this Pete Buttigieg. He spent billions of dollars on fixing the air traffic control that used copper wire going into glass wire. Any union electrician here or any non-union electrician would say you can't hook copper into glass. It doesn't work. They spent billions of dollars. They turned on the system, and it was stone cold blank. We're getting a brand new system. We have bids out now. We have 3 great companies bidding. And I want one bid. Sean Duffy's doing terrifically. I want one bid. I want just bid, and they're responsible for everything. Not where they had like 1,000 contractors. Every contractor, they were all running around. In the end, if one of them does a bad job, we want to be able to blame somebody, and it's going to be one of the very big companies because there's a lot of interest in it. So the air traffic control system is going to be rebuilt. Over 1 million federal workers right now, as you know, are going unpaid. That's the Democrats' fault. And children, tourists, unable to visit the museums in Washington, D.C., that we now have beautiful, safe streets, but we don't have the museums open. We should probably just open them. But we are doing things that nobody's ever done, nobody's ever seen. So all of this and the pain that the Democrats have caused during this reckless and completely unnecessary affair, and you could call it the Schumer shutdown or the Democrat shutdown. You can call it whatever you want. And I will say this, that We have Darth Vader. You know Darth Vader, right? Darth Vader is a man who, I think he's sitting right. Is that Darth? Stand up, please, Darth Vader. Stand up. Does everybody know? They call him Darth Vader. I call him a fine man. But he's cutting Democrat priorities, and they're never going to get him back. And they've caused us, and they've really allowed us to do it. And by the way, thank you. You're doing a great job, I have to tell you. So really a great job. Because many of the things that they're cutting, like the New York project, $20 billion we're cutting it, they're not going to get it back. I mean, they're not going to get a lot of things back. They may not get it back. Maybe we'll talk to them about it. But they're losing all the things that they wanted. But many of the things that they wanted are things that we don't want. The things that are just so bad for our country. And we're cutting those things out. So while they thought they were doing maybe bad, maybe indirectly they're doing good. The cynical comment that they've made all over the place, and all of their cynical remarks proves beyond all doubt that Schumer is a calculating political partisan. But we knew that. But he's somebody that's in deep trouble. He's losing in all of the polls. He's even losing to AOC +3. Remember +3? What happened to the +3? Are they still around? I had one. I met when I was at the United Nations, I met the president of Somalia. And I said, I have somebody I'd like to give back to you. He said, no, thanks. We don't want her. He didn't want anything to do with her. But today I'm calling on every Senate Democrat to stop the madness, to let our country get back. In the greatest moment in the history of our country, in terms of wealth, in terms of job creation, and in terms of investment coming in, these guys go on strike. It's really a shame. So I'm asking them to be smart. It's not working. They're getting killed in the polls. The public understands what they're doing. They're doing the wrong thing. And with that, I just want to say welcome to the White House. When we're finished, they do a great job. When they're finished, we're going to all come in. It'll be a little crowded, but that's okay. Into the Oval Office, we'll talk a little bit, a couple of minutes. Got some interesting things. And I think I'd like to have, if I could, John, come up and say a few words, and we can close it out. And by the way, this is an open mic. It's open to the world. I think they can hear me out on the street. If anybody wants to come up and say after John, say it. We're all friends, and you can speak your heart out. But we've got to get our government open, and the Democrats are trying to keep it closed. Thank you. John, please.
Thank you, man. Thank you, sir. Well, Mr. President, thank you for having us. This is the fourth week of the Democrat shutdown, but we are all here today because your Republican team in the Senate is unified. This is now the longest full shutdown in history, but everybody here has voted now 11 different times to open up the government, and we are going to keep voting to open up the government, and eventually the Democrats, hopefully sooner or later, are going to come around. But, Mr. President, your agenda is the right one for this country. This is your team. We are your partners in achieving and implementing the agenda that you campaigned on and the American people voted for. And you just mentioned it has been a series of promises made and promises kept, whether it's national security, whether it's the border, whether it's the economy, taxes, regulations, energy, Trump newborn accounts, school choice. You look at what we've accomplished so far. It is a remarkable, remarkable team and a record of accomplishment that can't be matched. And I would argue, at least in my time here, but perhaps in all of history. So thank you for your leadership, and we will continue to be good partners and work with you to get the work done for the American people. And let's hope that the Democrats get wise and, starting perhaps even today, vote to reopen the government so we can get back to work for the American people. Mr. President, thank you for having us at your home. You have beautiful homes, and thank you for everything you're doing to make this such a beautiful place. This is America's house. We're delighted to be here. Thank you.
Well, it doesn't look like anybody else took him up on going up to the open mic night here at the at the White House. They just cut their feed, so we're not going to see anybody else. But it's very interesting to me when I hear President Trump talk the way he does. Democrats are toast. They're absolutely toast. It's worrisome what they want to do. It's worrisome how much they want to gaslight America. It's worrisome of what they're going to do next. None of us can sit back and think to ourselves, oh, this is over, he's winning. No, these people just don't seem to get it. And the people who follow the Democrats, it seems like they like being lied to. I mean, this whole thing with the renovation with the ballroom, over and over and over, all over X. They're talking about how it's wasting money, how it shouldn't be done. And they know he's paying for it, which should tell you something. You see, to them, it doesn't matter whose money is paying for the renovation. That's not important. As far as the Democrats are concerned, that's their money. I don't think people realize that. They don't want you spending money on what they consider frivolous things, even if it's not the government's. That's money they should have. The more people, and I kept playing my little soundbite here, kind of like cha-ching, the more people who get used to prosperity, the worse it is for the Democrats. And so they have to make it seem like every single dime that is spent, regardless of who spends it, is something that should be spent somewhere else. As long as they can keep putting that thought as prevailing into the minds of the idiots, that is what they have to count on. Oh my gosh, you're spending $200 million on this ballroom, but it's not his. It doesn't matter that it's not the government, I'm sorry. The fact of the matter is, if you can afford to spend $250 million renovating a ballroom, you can afford to give it to us. Make no mistake, that's specifically what they're trying to convey to the idiots. You don't deserve to have a ballroom. You don't deserve to spend money. That's money that can be spent on people who actually need it. People who we define actually need it. I want you to make sure you understand that good versus evil fight that's going on is also a fight for your every single dollar that they don't think you should be able to spend. Me personally, I'm over it. I'm done pussyfooting around with people who think prosperity is bad. I'm done pussyfooting around with people who it's like shameful that you're doing well. Just the opposite. I mean, absolutely just the opposite. Let me take a second and talk about that for a second, about Lear Capital. You know, history shows that every market eventually fails. It's cyclical. Every currency collapses, and today the U.S. dollar is hanging by a thread. We've got $37 trillion in national debt. We have record high markets defying gravity, and we all know stocks can't go up forever. Meanwhile, your groceries, your housing, and your transportation costs sometimes in some areas are going up, but your dollar is buying less every single day. So when the system breaks, when the crash hits, your stocks won't save you, and your dollars won't either. But one thing will, and that's gold and silver. Gold has always survived the collapse, every single time. Just look it up. Banks and billionaires are investing in gold for a reason, and other countries. Protect your savings. Don't look at it. I saw somebody say gold is down today. It is not a stock that you need to trend every 24 hours. It is a hedge. I highly recommend you do the same thing before the next shoe drops. Don't wait for the headlines. When a panic sets in and you're seeing the lines and people all over the world, people are lining up to buy gold. What's that tell you? Call my friends at Lear Capital today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com to get your free 2025 gold investment kit. And if you can't afford the gold, feel free to ask them about silver. So when the system breaks or continues to break, you will have some protection with real physical gold and silver. And with over $3 billion in trusted transactions and thousands of reviews, Lear is a company I personally trust and do business with. Hold on. And you can too. By the way, for a limited time, Lear is now giving my channel, all the people here at Fanfare, up to $20,000 in bonus gold or silver with a qualified purchase. That's an additional $5,000 in bonus metals. So I urge you to check it out before that special is gone. Call 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. In addition, tomorrow's day show. Where is it? Tomorrow's day show. We shall start giving away silver. So all you're going to have to do, I haven't put the domain name up yet, but it's probably going to be fanfareshop.org/silver. And there you can register, and every single show, probably for the next month or so, we are going to give away free silver. It's an ounce of silver. An ounce of silver. So that you now can track and like, wow, I've got an ounce of silver. And so that means Barry just gave me 45 or 50 bucks. And you can actually now begin your road to investment. Same thing I'm doing with my grandkids. And yes, my grandson was released from the hospital, the ER. So thank you for the well wishes there. But I want you to understand, don't take it from me. Begin looking up what's happening financially. This one man, this president, is talking, and he's really trying to get people to wrap their arms around prosperity. I never knew that it was something you have to motivate people to do. And I believe that something is happening that a lot of people aren't aware of. We all like to watch the news. We all like to see what's going on X. But I'm telling you, begin keeping your eye on Scott Bessent. All this stuff that's going around here about the shutdown, find wherever you can what Scott Bessent is doing. You see, the two most important people in this administration, obviously the president, the two most important people as far as I'm concerned are Scott Bessent and Russ Vought, however you say his name. Right now, keep your eye on those people. Let the news worry about the airplane fighter dropping poop on Harry Sisson's head. Go ahead and laugh at that. Yeah, go ahead and let Candace Owens talk about how she's going to reveal all this stuff. Do that if you guys want to. It doesn't do anything for you. Go ahead and chase Epstein files and everything else with Pam. The smart ones here in the Fanfare family are going to be watching Scott Bessent and Russ Vought. I have a feeling, and it's why I'm so excited, and I listen to what President Trump is saying. I don't think enough people listen. That's why I got the new thing. How many times he talks about prosperity and wealth, and yet other people are out there going, maybe, hey, he talked about it too much. Barry talks about money too much. I'm listening. I'm watching. And the people I'm watching, Lutnick, Bessent, and Vought, they're doing something that you need to pay attention to. You know, gold, people are saying, is out of control right now. And it may end up getting to 5,000 plus per ounce. Silver may get to 100 plus per ounce. How do you know this? Because you know what has to happen from from a silver perspective, what's needed to fuel all the AI stuff that's happening. The gold, I think, is something different. What did I hear this morning on Glenn Beck? Did you know that all of the gold supposedly owned by the United States, hundreds and millions of ounces, I believe it's 250 million ounces of gold is owned by the United States. It is valued somewhere about 9 or 10 billion. I'm going to pause there. Because some of you guys might have just went, wait a minute, 250 million times 4,000 is way more than 9 or 10 billion. Well, that's the number that I believe Franklin Roosevelt put on gold as its value back in the 40s. Franklin Roosevelt, FDR, said that gold is worth 35 or 40 bucks an ounce. And nobody since FDR has ever changed that paper valuation. Go look it up. Some of you right now are like, what? Yeah, imagine buying a house in 1940. You got a 6-bedroom house on a nice piece of land that you bought for, I don't know, $20,000 in 1940. But today in 2025, somebody's telling you that house is still only worth $25,000. And you would look at them side-eye and go, what are you talking about? There's no possible way my house is worth 25 grand. That's what they told everybody the gold reserves were worth in the United States. You see, while a lot of people think gold is happening because people are panicking, there are some of us who see that this might not just be a panic, that it might be a strategy that is being fueled by President Trump. Notice everywhere in the Oval Office, you see gold. Again, this guy likes to give communications, and I sit back and watch gold. Even to the what do you call it? What's it called? Not clothing. What's the stuff you put on furniture? The covers, whatever it's called. I'm not a furniture guy. Even they're all covered in gold. Upholstery. That's the word. Upholstery. The upholstery is gold. The fireplace. I'm looking at a picture right now. The fireplace, gold. The instrumentation, the poker and all that stuff, gold. The ornation, gold. Gold everywhere. When he opens up that Oval Office and somebody comes in and sits down, gold everywhere. So I think back and I started listening to Glenn and I started doing my own research and looking around and going, wait a second. If gold has never been revalued since 1940, then we're sitting on a crap load of gold and it's worth trillions, maybe multiple trillions of dollars, because nobody has gone in and said, it's been like 80 years, let's do a revaluation. Can you believe that we've had numbskulls that have walked in and left the gold valuation at the same price it was in 1940s? And I hope I'm not losing you here. So now, what I believe is happening is a reset. And this reset is going to be about bringing the valuation of gold up to what the market rate is. The danger in that is if you believe that the market rate is X and it doesn't make X, then you've overvalued your asset. So they've kept it undervalued on purpose. I'm telling you something you can go verify. So what happens? Why would you want to reevaluate your gold holdings if you're the United States? Well, everybody knows we're trillions in debt. It's going to be very hard to get out of this debt unless you either raise taxes, which President Trump doesn't want to do, and none of you want, or you raise revenue or value. You see where I'm going here? And in conjunction with raising revenue and value, Scott Bessent, you also need to reduce expenses. Russ Vout. So when those two guys get in the room, I would love to have a secret microphone, because now you know who the two most important people, I believe, in this administration financially. Scott Bessent and Russ Vout. What does all this mean? A lot of you have heard Howard Lutnick say, we're not going to need income tax. Well, the reason we have income tax is because, one, we're funding a whole bunch of crap, and number two is because we have so much debt that we need to be able to pay the debt off. Well, what happens if your mortgage was based on a house from 1940 that you bought for $20,000, and you took out a refinance, and you kept refinancing, but they kept saying your house is only worth 20 grand. And so now you're completely upside down. You borrowed $1 million against a $20,000 asset. Well, what happens if you reevaluate that asset in today's dollars, and that house now is worth $1.2 million? This debt is here. It's bringing the evaluation up. Now, let's say it's still a little bit short. Well, once we cut some stuff, you see what's happening. This is the reset I believe is in play, and it's also why I think these people are freaking out. They can't admit it, but they understand now. I'm sure they've got some economists on their side who are telling them, oh crap, he's doing it. Don't talk about it. Don't get people all excited, because if people get excited, what are they going to do? They're going to buy gold. They're going to buy silver. People who are looking at this and going, wait a second. Remember that part in the movie? That part in the movie with Trading Places, when Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy were sitting back smiling and buying, and people were rushing in, and they're like, what are they doing? They're getting ready to corner the orange juice market, because they had some information the other people didn't. The bad guys were trying, because they thought it was going to drop. These guys knew it was going to go up. And so they just kept buying. Right now, there's a lot of people and a lot of countries who have a lot of information, more than you and I do, who are buying gold quickly. Why do you think they're buying it up? They know this revaluation is coming. They know where that puck is going to be. They know Scott Bessent and what he's doing. They have high-level economists as well, and they're watching the chessboard going, I see what they're getting ready to do. No other president has ever done that. Oh my God, he's playing the Trump move. This is the Trump move that this guy is doing right now, and oh man, you need to get in on this. You see, if they didn't fear Trump and his power economically, you wouldn't be seeing these other countries fall in so quickly. And at the same time, that's why whoever is, how can I say it, pulling the strings on the deep state are playing games with the internet, and they're forcing and calling Marx in and telling Ukraine to do other crazy stuff, and telling the fighters in Gaza to do things, because they see it happening as well. And they understand everything that they've worked for 50 years is about to collapse on their head. And not only that, Americans can see it. There are people talking today, I have some other stuff to show you, that gas in some areas is close to being under $2. How is that possible? Well, we got a new president. A new president who's got Scott Bessent and Russ Vought working. Why were they afraid of Project 2025? It wasn't the racism stuff. It was the slash and burn. So at this point, if you're sitting back and you understand where that puck is going, and understand where this gold and silver market are going, and this has nothing to do with the partners or commercials that I run here. This is personal. Understanding asset bases, understanding liquidity, understanding where you need to just look for yourself. And if you go look for yourself, you're going to be like, whoa, I didn't know this. Yeah, they shot themselves in the foot by going and shutting down the government. And now they're going to have to come crawling back, which is just going to completely eviscerate them. That's why they're jumping on protests. That's why they're jumping on him rebuilding the ballroom. They got nothing else. I don't want you to be in that position where you got nothing else, because you're watching all the peripheral stuff that means absolutely nothing. paying attention to what's really happening and trying to decipher that, that's what I spend a lot of my time doing when I'm not on air. I play his speeches, and then I look. And I look, and I chart numbers, and I see, oh, look, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't care what CNN is saying anymore. I play it for fun so we can laugh. I don't care what MSNBC is playing. It's funny. We can laugh at them. Some of you guys like to laugh at the media. But the meat and potatoes of what we should be looking at is following every single word that Scott Bessent and Russ Bout say, and what they're doing, and how they're slicing, and that in the Supreme Court and the Appellate Court. I mentioned last night, I thought yesterday was the day we're seeing what's happening, going through the appellate review process. If it gets absolutely cleared that he can put the military into cities, it might be too late for gold and silver. It's going to explode. The market is going to go crazy. The Democrats will be relegated to the child's table. On Thanksgiving, go sit over there. You don't get to sit with us. Now, I know some of you guys probably think Barry's done lost his damn mind. No, just the opposite. It's getting to the point now where I told Ashley, I may go to 3 shows a day. I may look at things and go, you know what, we need a morning daybreak show just for like 30 minutes or so, just so I can follow up on all the different things that are happening. Because I can take you through some of what I do personally and how I'm looking at things. And like we can do some sort of where I can pull up a screen and say, okay, here's what Barry's morning routine is. Most people, do you have a morning routine? Well, my morning routine is obviously shower, do what you got to do, your personal stuff. And then I feel like Larry the Liquidator. You guys remember who Larry the Liquidator was in terms of Other People's Money, the movie, Danny DeVito, where first thing he would do is hit the computer and say, show me what I need to do today. And, now with AI, you can literally have a computer say, you better check this out. Really? Yeah. You better check that out. Okay. Buy it. Short it. Do what you need to do. Hey, here's a house that you might want to look at, Barry. I mean, my first part of my day before I have to run over and get for a show is all about doing everything I can do to make sure that financially I'm looking at where that puck is going, and I'm also looking at who the goalie is. Who's going to stop me from putting that puck in the net? Democrats are inconsequential right now. The Democrats are only consequential because you allow them to be. The Democrats are only consequential because the media, blah, 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 blah. And if you just kind of push that stuff to, shut up. I don't need to hear you. What's going on, Scott? Oh, you're doing that today? Gotcha. Your life will change. I'm telling you, you don't have to believe me. Maybe that's will be the morning show. I'm going to take some comments in a second. Microplastics are everywhere in the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food we eat. Their effects are multiplying and wreaking havoc throughout our bodies, impacting heart and lung health, and even bone density. Our bones are the framework of our body, fueling movement, balance, and overall fitness. Scientists have also found out that the accumulation of microplastics has severe consequences on the amount of muscle mass we retain, which is why, especially when you get to our age, you've got to work out more and eat right. But even if you eat clean or avoid packaged foods, exposure to these detrimental particles and parasites and junk is unavoidable. They infiltrate our systems, they cross the gut lining, and they're disrupting our ability to maintain our health and our strength. Do something about it. A healthy gut is your first line of defense to fight off this stuff, to fight back. Recent human studies have found that there are strains of probiotics found only in kimchi that absorb and excrete microplastics. These probiotics are the armor for our gut to destroy and flush out these harmful toxins. I started laughing because I'm just thinking about what Robin does at home. And I mean, she keeps disappearing different dishes that I really like and replacing them with glass and all kinds of stuff because she's like, no, you don't need to be digesting this microplastics. I advise you to also defend your body and restore your gut's natural balance with the power of Kimchi 1. All the benefits of kimchi in a convenient capsule form. And a world of plastic, give your gut the protection it deserves. And this is some of the stuff that you can get from kimchi. And so take a look at that. And then also as you begin, deciding what you want to do, you can also get 25% off your order using the code Barry at mybrightcore.com/Barry. Or for an even better deal, call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. Give them a call now at 888-418-6738. All right, so I talked a bunch there. I'm afraid to click on the comment buttons and even see in here what's going on. Letra says, silver is going even higher than gold when it's not suppressed. Silver has many more uses. Both are good to have in mind. Absolutely. Barry, so let it be written, so let it be done. Man, it's funny. Silver is the dark horse, not gold. In my opinion, silver is going to do amazing things. Very well, very well. Wow, $5.49 for octane in Southern California. That is absolutely crazy. Gas prices are that high in some areas. I'm in the process of replacing my plastic. Yep, Robin did that for us. She gets rid of it. The deep state is everyone whose spigot has been turned off. Think about it. Yeah. I don't even know if you guys followed. And today it blinked off a couple times. The internet is not back at full strength. Different pockets and areas of the country are still experiencing outages from the AWS server stuff that went down yesterday. Was it a dry run? I don't know. I don't know. But I think you got a quick dose of reality if you try to do certain things, access your banking app. You're like, whoa. They're not going to stop. They're going to make the rebels in Gaza keep fighting. Especially after the speech that J.D. Vance and Jared gave. Because now we know that MAGA Gaza is a reality. MAGA Gaza is something that's going to happen. They are going to redevelop Gaza. It's coming. And something else. That high hide yesterday that they found near the airport. I'm definitely going to go take a picture of it, or that area, so you can see what I'm talking about. That wasn't by accident. And same thing with this rally they're holding. I don't know if you guys even heard about this rally. Let me just see if I can pull this up for you. I kind of got a chill when I saw this, and it kind of pissed me off at the same time that these people can do this kind of thing, because what exactly are they saying here? Let me show this to you really quick here, if this can load, by not putting an extra this. It's become a sport, I wrote. On 11/22, they're having yet another protest rally. You guys remember what happened on 11/22 some years back? President Kennedy was shot. And they picked that day to do a rally in Washington, D.C. These people are evil personified. Just so you know, this is some breaking news. Hey.
Breaking news into the Fanfare news feed.
All right, so Jim Jordan says, John Brennan lied to Congress. Today we referred him to the Department of Justice for criminal prosecution. And here is the letter with the big claim. Brennan falsely denied that the CIA relied on the discredited Steele dossier in drafting the post-election intelligence community assessment. And on January 6, 2017, the CIA, FBI, and National Security Agency published a declassified version where they actually did. Things happening quickly. The more turmoil in Washington, that is going to happen. The more stability people are going to have. So that's some huge news. Absolutely monstrous news there. Let's see here. What am I looking at here? Who's this? Michael, never, not so fast. A mark-to-market on gold is misdirection. The government, has already taken that into account. Michael says, prudent, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Never would tell anybody to put all their eggs in one baskets. Precious metals should only be a portion of your portfolio. That's why I do real estate. So, Michael, I like what you said. Michael says, who benefits most by higher precious metals? Ask yourself that. Yeah, I am. That's why we are buying houses. That's why I am. You're absolutely right in that regard. Diversify is safety. Diversification is safety. When you can see different things and try to anticipate different things, that's exactly what you should be doing. We may not agree as to what's going on. As he said, the pundits are selling treasuries and buying gold are in the central banks. Don't be fooled. I'm not fooled. What I'm saying is I see what Scott Bessett is doing. I see what Russ Vought is doing. And I watch the real estate market on a daily basis to see where people are and what they're doing. Like I told you, we closed out a house a month ago, and the owner, we gave him a post-occupancy agreement. I'll tell you when we start doing more real estate what a post-occupancy agreement is, but he's due out of the house this weekend, and then so we can go ahead and put it on the market. Since we purchased the house, that area of South Florida has gone up even further in value, as I think people in New York are looking to get out. Now, because we're going to do something with that house, it's going to allow us to make more money. And I don't have any issue with that, and nor should you have any issue with that. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and listen to what Mike Johnson said today at his press conference.
Well, welcome everybody. Day 21 of the Democrat shutdown. It's now 3 weeks since the Democrats have decided to close the entire federal government. I mentioned yesterday when we were gathered that this is now the longest full shutdown in American history. And yet again, Senate Democrats voted for the 11th time, 12 times overall, when you count House and Senate Democrats, to prolong the pain and keep the government closed. So we want to talk very briefly with you this morning about what that means, and then we're going to give you a little update on the Epstein matter. So far, this is what it means. So far, what this shutdown has caused to the economy and to the people of this country is really unconscionable. The U.S. economy has now lost hundreds of billions of dollars. We have federal workers who are desperate for pay and uncertain when they will get their next paycheck. You got families wondering if they'll go without food assistance next month because many people rely upon that. New federal loans and disaster aid have come to a complete halt. And the stewards of our nuclear defense stockpile are being sent home on furlough. Think of the implications of all this. All of it hurts the economy, it hurts our national security, and it hurts the American people, and the Democrats seem not to care. I was watching Republican Senate Majority Whip Barrasso this morning on an interview, and he said it, I think, very succinctly. He said the Democrats are practicing the politics of pain. I'm not sure I could say that any better. That's exactly what it is. And you think of what's happening right now. Think of what they have demanded in exchange as a ransom, the hostage they've taken to reopen the government. They're demanding taxpayer-funded health benefits be restored to illegal aliens. They're demanding that we spend billions of dollars overseas for ridiculous programs that the American people do not support. They want to claw back the $50 billion that we just got signed into law on July 4th to support our rural hospitals and all sorts of other crazy things. They're demanding taxpayer-funded health benefits for illegal aliens instead of agreeing to pay our men and women in uniform and provide vital health services and all the things that our most vulnerable Americans depend upon. It is unforgivable. And this is an indisputable fact. Everybody can see this, and everybody in this room knows what I'm about to say is true. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are terrified of their far left base in New York and around the country. So they have given in to their demands to shut down the government so that they themselves can get the left's approval and somehow salvage their political careers. That is the whole story in one sentence, okay? That's why Schumer said shamelessly that every day of the shutdown gets better for us. Who's the us? He's talking about he and Hakeem and the Democrats who are afraid of the far left base. So today I want to put a finer point on some of the very real consequences we're seeing and what they mean for Americans around the country. And I'll zoom in on some of these key Democrat states where the senators continue to dig their heels in and vote against opening the government. Yesterday from NBC News, here's the headline: air traffic control staffing issues cause flight delays across the country. The Secretary of Transportation said 53% of flight delays are now due to staffing issues, and usually that number is 5%. From Colorado, food banks face growing crises as shutdown impacts become a reality. That's the headline from Sky High News. What are Colorado's 2 Democrat senators doing? You've got Hickenlooper and Bennett. They have both now voted 11 times to keep the government closed. Virginia, here's the headline yesterday, KSL. Virginia employees fear shutdown's impact on veterans' medical care. And meanwhile, their 2 Democrat senators, Tim Kaine and Mark Warner, have voted repeatedly to put their thumb in the eye of those veterans. And they won't end this pain. From Hawaii, Hawaii News Now says, headline, government shutdown impacts telehealth for seniors in Hawaii. Seniors in Hawaii rely upon telehealth. Guess who's shutting it down? Their 2 Democrat senators, Brian Schatz and Mazie Hirono, voted again and again to keep the government closed and disrupt the health services for seniors in their own state. They've got a lot to answer to. From California, here's a headline, ABC 7 News. Alameda food banks step in to help TSA workers, families impacted by government shutdown. That is disgusting. And both of California's senators, Padilla and Schiff, have voted 11 times to block the pay of those TSA agents and their families, the paychecks they rely upon. From Illinois, WIFR, yesterday, federal courts in northern Illinois reduce operations due to government shutdown. The courts are reducing operations, and you've got Illinois Democrats, Senators Duckworth and Durbin have voted to keep the government closed. We could do this all day long. That's a sample. Democrats used to care about the harm that shutdowns caused hardworking Americans, but now we can all see very clearly that was always based on politics and not principle, because they have thrown the principle out the window. And yesterday, there was an article from The Hill that laid bare that very fact. A Democrat senator was speaking anonymously and admitted, quote, people are going to get hammered if they vote for the House passed bill to reopen the government. The clean, nonpartisan CR, they're going to get hammered. Another insider said in that same story, quote, we would have enough votes to reopen the government if people were not terrified of getting the guillotine, okay? They mean it metaphorically, but in a political sense, that's exactly what they're concerned about. And think about the fact that we're just laying out here. These are simple facts. We come out here every morning and remind the American people of what's going on. Do not let them distract you from the facts. The American people would have an open government if Democrats were not terrified of their radical base. That is the headline. Every single one of you should write that. That's the ugly truth. The Democrats are not governing in good faith. They're covering their own tail. They're out here decrying the so-called forthcoming health care crisis, they say. It's the one that they themselves created. The Democrats created Obamacare. They're the ones that created a subsidy with an expiration date. They're the ones that did all of this. Republicans are trying to fix it. And they're trying to blame Republicans for the crisis they themselves created. They cry foul when we won't bail them out of their own shutdown. I don't have anything to offer, as I've explained. I don't have any partisan priority I can pull off of the CR to make it more palatable for them. There's nothing to negotiate. They just have to do what they've always done in the past, that they did 13 times during the Biden administration, and they did as recently as March of this year, to open the government so that people can get their services and their paychecks. And they go before cameras incredibly, and they just lie to the American people over and over. It's a stunning thing to watch. It's time to stop the political games. The Democrats have got to stop this so that we can get back to the work here. For the sake of the American people, I hope they do. I hope Democrats finally come to their senses soon and the pain will end so we can reopen the government and get back to the hard work here. Let me say this. Now, while congressional Democrats continue their dangerous political games, the bipartisan House Committee on Oversight is conducting its investigation into the heinous crimes of Jeffrey Epstein. And it has continued. It has not stopped during the government shutdown. You have some of the, as I like to say, some of the toughest bulldogs in Congress on the Republican and Democrat side who are united in this cause for maximum transparency of the Epstein files. I'm for that. Chairman Comer is for that, the Oversight Committee chair. You'll hear from him in a moment. All these leadership team all the Republicans in the House are for maximum transparency and always have been. My good friend, Chairman James Comer, is going to give you an update on that shortly, but I just want to make a couple of key points very clearly before I bring him up here. Congressional Democrats are rudderless right now. I don't know how else to describe it. They don't have a message, they don't have a leader, they don't have any identifiable set of policy solutions for the problems facing the American people. Their party continues to hit all-time historic lows in poll after poll after poll, and many of you have reported on that. These are objective facts. They're utterly lost as a party, and everybody can see it. So what are they doing? They see a shiny object, and they latch onto it. Democrats did not say one word about the Epstein files for the entire Biden presidency. They had all the files in the Biden DOJ. They didn't say a word about it. 4 years, not a word. And suddenly now they somehow convince themselves that the Epstein files will be damaging to President Trump and Republicans in some way that they've imagined. And so they feign outrage. Let me be very clear about this. I've met with some of the Epstein victims, some of these brave women who've come forward. They were here on Capitol Hill, as you all know. We heard their stories. It's gut-wrenching. It's disgusting what they've been made to go through, and they bravely came forward. We're working around the clock to ensure that justice is served, and also as part of the oversight to figure out why justice has been delayed for so long. All credible information we will ensure is released to the public, and we also, at the same time, are fulfilling our responsibility to protect the innocent victims. By the witnesses' own testimony, these ladies who've come forward, they estimate there may be as many as 1,000 young women who were subjected to these heinous crimes. And many of them have chosen not to come forward and show their faces and reveal their names because it would compound the harm that they've already suffered. And so we want to protect those people. That's the sum total of all of this. That's our responsibility. And short of that, we want maximum transparency. And that is exactly what the American people are getting right now. That oversight investigation, they're working around the clock. And here's what the latest update, if you're not keeping track. They have now subpoenaed and released 43,000 pages of documents. They have subpoenaed and released DOJ and Epstein estate documents, with more to come. They've issued 11 deposition subpoenas, and they've released Bill Barr's deposition transcript. Just a few days ago, they released the transcript from the interview with Alexander Acosta. They requested and begun to receive suspicious activity reports from the Treasury Department, and the department is fully cooperating in that. And they published letters from Eric Holder, Merrick Garland, and James Comey stating they had no knowledge or information related to the committee's investigation. Those documents include the ones that were released on Friday of last week, okay? The Epstein estate documents include his personal phone logs, his travel logs, his financial records, the ledgers that many people have been wanting to see, and even his daily calendar. The investigation and continued document release is ongoing even as we speak. And let me say this clearly as well. The bipartisan House Oversight Committee is already accomplishing what the discharge petition, that gambit, sought, and much more. The Epstein estate files that have been this new treasure trove, the third batch of information released right now, was not even included in the discharge petition. Didn't even think of it. And again, the investigation is bipartisan, it's nonstop, and it's far broader in scope than what is covered by the discharge petition and has already yielded significant results. Unfortunately, some Democrats and sadly even a couple of Republicans have tried to make this a political issue. They seem to be more interested in trying somehow to lay a glove on the president than in securing justice for these victims, and I think that is shameful. But as Chairman Comer will tell you, the work of the bipartisan investigation continues, and we brought him here to share with you some of those thoughts. Chairman Comer, thank you for your hard work, and take it away.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. As Speaker Johnson already said, today marks the 21st day of the Schumer shutdown. Democrats' political games are hurting hardworking Americans. This week, essential federal workers won't receive their paychecks because Democrats voted against paying them. That includes Border Patrol, CBP agents, TSA, FAA staff, DOD civilians, FEMA responders, and Capitol Police officers. The overwhelming majority of Americans oppose this Democrat shutdown. Democrats know it, so they're trying to distract from the fact that they shut down the government by pushing a false narrative about President Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Let me be clear. No one no one is protecting Epstein or his associates. The House Oversight Committee is conducting a thorough review of the federal government's handling of the Epstein investigation, one that goes far beyond the discharge petition the legacy media is obsessed with. To date, the Oversight Committee has released over 43,000 pages of documents and issued 13 subpoenas. We've conducted a deposition with former U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr and a transcribed interview with former U.S. Labor Secretary Alex Acosta. I don't think I need to remind anyone in here, they are both Republicans and both former cabinet secretaries in the Trump administration. And guess what? Those interviews completely debunked the Democrat smear against President Trump. Barr stated that there was no evidence that President Trump was involved in Epstein's criminal activity. Acosta confirmed there was no contact with President Trump during the Florida case. No link, no conversations, nothing. Despite these facts, Democrats, especially Ranking Member Garcia, continue to spread lies about President Trump, and they are lies. They're infected with an incurable case of Trump derangement syndrome. Oversight Committee Democrats post daily about Epstein. In fact, they've posted or reposted about Epstein nearly 60 times on X since the shutdown began. You know how many times they posted about essential federal workers not receiving paychecks because they voted against funding the government? Once. They've posted about that once on the Democrat Oversight Committee and over 60 times about Epstein. You see where their priorities are. Let's be clear. Democrats don't care about transparency or accountability in this matter. The evidence we've gathered does not implicate President Trump in any way. Public reporting, survivor testimony, and official documents show that Bill Clinton had far closer ties to Epstein. We're working to bring former President Clinton in for a deposition, but the Democrats aren't helping one bit. You would think, since we've already brought two former Trump cabinet secretaries in, they would be willing to bring in a Democrat who's had publicly a far closer relationship with especially Maxwell and Epstein. So why is that? That's a question every reporter should be asking Ranking Member Garcia and every Democrat on the committee. Why are you helping to bring Bill Clinton in for an interview and deposition just like we brought in Barr and Acosta? The Oversight Committee remains committed to accountability and transparency for the American people and for Epstein's victims. Our investigation has not stopped during this shutdown. We've released more documents just this past Friday. Democrats need to stop playing games and vote to reopen the government. With that, I yield back to the speaker.
Thank you, Chairman Comer, and truly appreciate the hard work you continue to do to get the facts out. And that's what this has always been about. We want to continue to get those facts out, and your committee has been working tirelessly to do just that. As we enter the third week of Chuck Schumer's shutdown, I think nobody can sum up just what is really going on better than the article yesterday in The Hill. You know, we've been saying up here for weeks that the real motivation behind the Democrat shutdown of the government is that they're afraid of the most radical far-left elements of the Democrat Party base. And yesterday, The Hill, in a pretty riveting article, laid bare the underbelly of the Democrat Party's motivation. It truly is fear of their own party's base that has driven the Democrats, especially in the Senate, to shut down the government. It's a calculated decision. And the continued votes, including yesterday, to keep the government shut down has been a direct result of the fear Democrats continue to have of their own party's base. Some of the most radical elements that you saw at the Hate America rally. We showed it up here on this dais yesterday with some of the most vile things that you saw. Many people that were holding signs calling for the death of the President of the United States. That's who Democrats in the Senate are most afraid of. And they're willing to inflict pain on millions of American families. And I think it's very important to understand what they're saying. There was one Senate Democrat aide who said people are going to get hammered by their liberal base if they vote to open up the government. So they're not concerned about the millions of families who are suffering because they're keeping the government shut down. They're just worried about getting hammered from their own base. And the speaker laid out some of this too. There was another senator who said, quote, they'd vote to open up the government yesterday if left to their own devices, but don't want to risk an angry backlash from their base. They'd be more than willing to do it. They know it's the right thing to do to open up the government, but they're scared to death of the backlash from the radicals in the Democrat Party. Another person said enough Democrats would vote to reopen the government, quote, if people were not terrified of getting the guillotine. You know what that means. When they're more scared of their own party's base, you talk about profiles in courage. That's what we're experiencing. And maybe the worst was this, because the speaker's gone over and over with some of the different states and the pain it's causing, not just here in Washington, but all around the country. In every state, there is real pain being inflicted. People that aren't sure if they're going to get another paycheck if they're working for the federal government. And there's a state, Georgia, that has a number of military bases, a lot of other federal workers. NIH is headquartered in the state of Georgia. And what is one of their senators, Senator Ossoff, thinking about all this? Another Democrat said, Senator Ossoff's calculation is, quote, do I vote to open the government up and get crushed and can't raise a single dollar of low dollar money? Or do I vote to shut the government down and get $3 million from online fundraising? Jeez. That's disgusting. Senator Ossoff is more concerned about getting low dollar donations from maybe some donor in California who's going to click on an email and give him $100 for his reelection. And so he's causing suffering on tens of thousands of people in his home state of Georgia. Senator Ossoff ought to send that tainted, dirty money back. If he's raised $3 million off of the shutdown, off of the suffering he's caused, just so that he can get some more money from radicals around the country, go look at his finance report during the shutdown. The low dollar donations that he's more concerned about getting than opening up the government, which is the right thing to do, because they're scared to death of their base, because they want to keep getting low dollar donations from the most radical members of the Democrat Party. That's what this is about. And we've been saying it, but now that Hill article truly exposed it, with anonymous senators finally speaking freely, with other Democrat aides admitting what's really going on their side. And when they asked the speaker, gee whiz, is there something else you can offer? What is there to offer to a party who's so morally corrupt and bankrupt that they're willing to sell out the American people because they're either scared of their base or they want to just keep getting low dollar donations from donors around the country who are rooting for chaos for America, who want to undermine this country? That's what's going on here. And the American people are figuring it out. People in Georgia are figuring it out. They know why they're seeing the suffering, and their own two senators are voting for that suffering, and now you know why. It's laid out in full display for everybody to see. We're here ready to get back to the people's work for all the American people, not just for some far-left radical base who's holding the Democrat Party in D.C. hostage. Finally show some courage, some moral clarity. All we need is 5 senators to stand up and do the right thing. And it's long past time they do it. Now our whip. Tom Emmer.
Welcome to day 21 of the Democrats' shutdown, where Democrats have now voted 12 times against funding our government. Why is that? I'm going to read the same quotes from those anonymous Democrats. People are going to get hammered if they vote for the House-passed bill. A second person familiar with the political dynamics said centrist senators are fearful of breaking with leaders while party activists are planning the anti-Trump rallies. Another one, we would have enough votes to reopen the government if people were not terrified as Steve and both Mike have pointed out, of getting the guillotine. Another Democrat strategist said the main driver is fundraising, which Steve just went over. Do I vote to open the government up and get crushed and can't raise a single dollar of low dollar money? I mean, it's amazing, Steve. This is what it's all about. And this is what everybody in this room should be reporting every single day. They should be held accountable for this type of behavior because it is having serious consequences all across the country. Real Americans are getting hurt while these political elites in the defunct Democrat Party are playing political games. Border Patrol agents are being forced to go without mission-critical funding. Low-income families, nutrition assistance benefits like SNAP and WIC are being jeopardized, all so these Democrats can appease their radical pro-terrorist wing. That is what they are. You saw it, and anybody who wants to push back, then they should disavow any connection to people who are calling for the death of any elected official, let alone the President of the United States, which they seem to be fine with, or this Attorney General candidate in Virginia. They won't even do that. This is a party without a message, without a leader, and without a future at this point. They are well on their way to being left on the ash heap of history. It's despicable and it's downright wrong. We've got news for Chuck Schumer and the soon-to-be former leader of the Democrats in the House. Your Hate America rally is over. It's past time for you to stop thinking about yourselves and start thinking about the people that you were hired to serve. The American people are not and should not be pawns in your shutdown games, and they should not be forced to suffer just so you can play politics here in Washington, D.C. Put an end to this madness, pass our clean CR, and let's reopen this government immediately. Our conference chair.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you, Mr. Comer, for being here. Again, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, right? Our side, a lot of facts. The other side, more headlines than anything. Right? Press the other side on the facts, because the facts speak for themselves, no different than Chairman Comer laid out with all the work that he's doing and transparency, right? It's been 1 month since House Republicans passed a bill to keep your government open. And how did Democrats celebrate? Well, they partied with communists and socialists who hate America. Right? While Democrats were marching with their radical mobs, Republicans were actually meeting with Americans, listening, helping, and working. Let me give you a few examples. Congressman Ciscomani visited a food bank helping families with food insecurity. Congressman Rick Allen stood with veterans left in limbo by the Democrats' political games. And Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis thanked U.S. Park police officers while they worked without pay. That's the contrast. Because as the leadership team behind me said, I'm sure those low dollar amounts that they're raising, they're probably giving those monies back to the food banks and those people, right? No, they're putting it in their pockets. Republicans are working to help constituents navigate the chaos Democrats created when they chose to shut down the government. And the government and a shutdown should never be used for more wasteful spending. Democrats are performing for their radical audience. We see it time and time again. One side shows up for the American people. The other side shows off for their social media. The bottom line is this: Democrats are not fighting for you. They're fighting for the most radical 1% of their base. And of course, that low dollar fundraising number. They're also leveraging the shutdown to demand $1.5 trillion in wasteful spending, climate pet projects in foreign countries, and health care for illegals. But Republicans won't cave. We won't fund the waste, fraud, and the abuse that the Democrats so violently and vehemently advocate for. We won't hand your tax dollars to illegals. Those are your tax dollars, and we won't let radicals dictate America's future. So it's time for the Democrats to wrap up the photo shoots and end the who's more radical contest and vote to reopen the government. Let's get the government reopened for our troops. Let's get the government reopened for our families. And let's get the government reopened for the American people. Thank you.
Questions? Far right, yes, sir.
Yeah, a CR is only one way to fund the government, and some of your members are kind of uncomfortable with being out on recess for a month. So why not bring everybody back, work through the appropriations that you haven't passed yet, and sort of do an end run around Hakeem Jeffries?
Yeah, so a couple things. First of all, 99.5% of the House Republicans understand exactly what we're doing. They agree with it. We talk regularly. We'll have another conference call later today. They have been out doing very essential, very important work in their districts, and their constituents appreciate that. I mean, they've been everywhere because, as Chairwoman McClain said, they've got to help cover the bases for the crisis that's been created by the Democrats. Now, the calculus and the strategy on when I bring everybody back, people have said, are you going to change your strategy? And I've said to you all very plainly in good faith, we don't have a political strategy here. I don't have a strategy. We're just trying to do the right thing. We did what has been customary here and passed a simple CR. Again, this is really important, and it should be a headline in your journals as well. This is the first time in history that any party has shut down the government over a clean CR. It's a clean CR. That's the whole thing. There's nothing much more we can do. With regard to appropriations, the House Appropriations Committee has done its work. They got all 12 of the bills through committee, bipartisan fashion, by the way. Got them through committee. Now we got 3 off the floor. The Senate got 3 off the floor. They don't match exactly, so they're going to conference committee. The appropriators are working during this period when we're not here on the floor. They're working and coordinating amongst themselves across the aisle and across chambers to get the next batch of appropes ready and teed up for House passage. As soon as we get back to regular legislative session, we look forward to doing that, and the clock is ticking. Remember this as well. The CR was set to November 21st. Was that a random date? No, that date was chosen by Republicans and Democrat appropriators, decided upon to allow for 7 additional weeks so they could finish the job that you just asked about. Right now, the great irony is the Democrats who say they want everything to be done, they are the ones that are eating up the clock. They're preventing that very thing from happening. So many of you have asked me in the hallway, is November 21st going to allow enough time? That's becoming a very dicey prospect right now because we need every single day. Now, the appropriators are working right now. As we speak, they're working on it. I myself have spoken to appropriators in the Senate on the Democrat side. I mean, we're trying to prepare this work and to get it done as soon as possible, but it is true that the pressure gets turned up every day of the calendar that's eaten up by the Democrats' political nonsense. Back row, yes, sir, on the best.
CBS News is out with reporting this morning that a Oregon January 6th rioter was charged and arrested this week with threatening to kill Hakeem Jeffries. Do you have any reaction to that?
Terrible. That's the first I've heard of that. I don't know anything about it. But anybody who threatens to kill any political official, we denounce it absolutely. They got to have justice fall upon their head. All right? How about that? Yes, sir. Second row right here.
Thank you, sir. The Senate has sort of had this will-they, won't-they relationship with a Russia sanctions bill that has overwhelming bipartisan support. Would you like to see the Senate have a more accelerated timeline? And if they pass it during the shutdown, would you bring the House back to vote on it?
Well, I don't anticipate it'll be passed during the shutdown, but there is a big appetite among Republicans, House and Senate, I can tell you, for tough sanctions on Russia. The president, as you know, you can take him at his own word, he's lost his patience with Putin. He's not a good faith operator. Obviously, he's the aggressor in an unjust war, and it needs to end. The president's using every leverage point he has to bring that a resolution, bring an end to that war that's killed so many people and cost so much money, and it's just been a terrible thing. Everybody on the world stage, I talked to my colleagues, my counterparts, the speakers of the various parliaments of the other free countries, the G7 and others, and everybody's unified on this. Everybody wants this to end. President Trump's the only strong enough figure on the world stage who has a chance of doing that. And you know he's bent over backwards to make it happen. Now, what we need right now is we need good faith on the part of Russia and Ukraine, that they would come to the table to work on a diplomatic solution to bring this to an end. The president's trying to force that in every way he can. The Republicans in Congress are ready to provide support for that and any leverage that we can, including sanctions, we're open to, and we'll see how that develops.
Last question.
For sure.
Mr. Speaker, getting back to the threat to Hakeem Jeffries, this is one of a number of individuals who were pardoned as a result of January 6th who have been rearrested on various charges. Did President Trump make a mistake by just offering up a blanket pardon for every single person that was convicted as a result?
I don't know any of the details of this at all. I don't know who's been alleged to have been involved in this. I will say that anybody who threatens political violence against elected officials or anyone else should be have the full weight and measure of the Department of Justice on their head. I trust that will happen. I hope it will. We are intellectually consistent about that, obviously. I will tell you this. The violence on the left is far more prevalent than the violence on the right. Don't make me go through the list. You all know it. All of these the assassination culture that's been advanced now, this is the left in almost every case that is advancing this and not the right. So let's not make it a partisan issue. You don't want me to go there. We're just going to say anybody, any deranged individual, this has to stop. And the rhetoric that you saw on display on Saturday, we highlighted yesterday, it plays into this, okay? There are people that get triggered. There are deranged people in society when they hear elected officials participating in a rally that was paid for by Soros and sponsored by communists, with signs and placards and mantras that were repeated that we should bring death to, fascist politicians. What they mean is they call every Republican a fascist now. They're calling for the death of elected officials. Please, enough of that. We got to stop it. Stop the rhetoric, stop all the nonsense, and stop the violence.
Thank you.
Look, I'm not going to address it because I'm not sure of the details of this, and I think we've said enough. You know where we stand, and every one of you should stand there the same way. We denounce violence from anybody, anytime. Those people should be arrested and tried. Thanks.
I swear you don't hate the media enough. Not enough. A 20-minute press conference, and they're talking about the shutdown, and all they want to talk about is some nut that they don't know anything about and what he said online. I'm done with these people. You should be done with them too. Understand where we are. So I gather they're going to try and vote again later, maybe early this evening, and see where they come up with. It's not, don't care. People don't care. Eventually, as you're going to see in tonight's show, that the Democrats, they don't have much choice. They have to cave on this stuff. There's nothing else they can do. If anything you saw from President Trump's speech in the Rose Garden, they are resolute. They are not going to change. This is it. There's no negotiation. Obviously, you're 20 days in. You're 20 days in, and you've made zero headway. All of the media blitz, all of the rallies, it's done nothing. So at this point, you've done everything you possibly can to try and sway people, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whatsoever. So they're going to have to cave. Otherwise, you can see this thing could go on. I did want to show you this before we left. This is going to be really funny. Hold on a second. Got to talk to you about Chapter. All right, you guys here in the fanfare community, as I'm sure you're well aware, it's Medicare annual enrollment time. And as a newly turned 65-year-old myself, that means I'm getting buried under the same spam calls and junk mail that you are. And it's quite the nightmare. I've also learned that Medicare plans change every year. Apparently, some even disappear and go away completely. So for those of us that love our plans today, it might not be the best one for you in 2026. And if you don't double check, you could lose coverage for doctors or prescriptions that you count on. And to make matters worse, most Medicare agents are simply pushing you into a plan that pays them the most commissions, and they're not looking out for your best interest. That's why I recommend Chapter for the Fanfare family. They check every single plan in America to make sure you get the best deal. And on average, they can save people $1,100 a year. But don't let that be the reason you don't call. Some people may not be looking for a cheaper alternative. They'd rather continue having the Cadillac plan that they're used to. They'll do that for you as well. They made it dead simple for Robin and I. They'll review all your options in one 20-minute phone call. And if you're already on the right plan, then don't worry about it. You're done. It's over. If not, they'll help you switch. So get some peace of mind during this enrollment period. Call Chapter at 475-328-3545 and make sure you're set heading into 2026. Or you can go to the website askchapter.org/Barry to book a one-on-one consultation. 20 minutes. It's free. Doesn't cost you a dime, and you'll find out whether or not you have a good plan or you need to change. Either way, make the call. All right, so I had told you earlier, this ballroom thing is driving people batty. And they're lying. And I made the inference to you that they're pissed off because you shouldn't have to spend this money. Even if it's not coming from the government, nobody deserves to spend this money. You should be spending it on us. Give us the money. And so now, in addition to everybody online, now it's making the news on the insane shows.
What you're alluding to is kind of what struck me. A ballroom is a symbol of excess and opulence. And we're living in a time where those optics...
A ballroom is a symbol of excess and opulence. How many of you are married? How many of you had a wedding or a reception in a ballroom in a hotel? Did you think it was opulence or luxurious? Some, yes, there are some. But the bottom line is, why is that a problem? Why is luxury and opulence a problem? You have to understand the methodology and what they're trying to say here and what they're trying to do. Even though it's not theirs, even though not a dime of their money is going to pay for it, here we come with the messaging. Opulence and luxury are bad. You shouldn't want that. You don't deserve that. F you. If I want to throw, when my granddaughters get to the age where they want to get married, and Robin and I want to rent out a ballroom, and we want all of the luxurious, and we want the ice sculptings and juggler, what's it up to you? It's none of your business. They're making a concerted effort to tell you that prosperity is bad, while each one of them saying this are millionaires. You have to understand as a person watching this that you're getting programmed. They're trying to get into your head constantly. Oh, it's opulent. It's luxurious. Oh my God. You ever watch one of those shows where the Real Housewives of X, Y, or Z? And everything they do is about luxury and opulence. That's okay though. We just don't want it to spread to you people. You people don't deserve luxury and opulence. This is some evil stuff that's happening. Embrace prosperity. Ignore people who say you shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. No, get there. I don't get this crap.
Just are flying in the face of the reality of the majority of this country. When you look up, he won on making cost of living better, but inflation's up 3%. Yeah. 74% of Americans say they've seen household prices increase by at least $100. The unemployment rate is at a four-year high right now. People are struggling to eat, and this was like a wealthy ballroom paid for by wealthy people for wealthy people to come and dance in a ballroom. And I know this was private fun.
I know it's private funding. Then what the hell are you talking about? Notice how she said it's for wealthy people to come dance and play in a wealthy ballroom, heads of state, people from across the world. And I know it's, but still, it's a bad. What does it have to do with the person on food stamps? Does it make them feel bad? Do they get their fifis all hurt because they're seeing people with wealth? I don't care. I no longer care. If I drive up to a light and I look over to my right and the person over there has a better car or a better vehicle, I'm not all of a sudden going to burst into tears like, how dare he have a Cybertruck? I want a Cybertruck. Too effing bad. This is a stand you have to make. You can't accept this anymore. Don't let these people browbeat you into telling you that, number one, you can't have it. Number two, you don't deserve it. And don't let other people tell you you shouldn't go for it. Those are three things I have an extremely bad problem with, and I don't care if people go to other channels. I'm not going to tell you or let you try to tell me that I shouldn't go for it. I'm not going to let you tell me that I don't deserve it for how hard I work. And I'm not going to let them tell people in this audience, this fanfare community, that they shouldn't go for the gusto. That's BS. That's complete programming. You know, I was talking to Robin the other day, she was laughing, and she's like, you know, everybody doesn't have your drive. They didn't play football and just keep playing football and weightlifting and everything else you did. No, people just, the average person doesn't have that drive. And I go, that's why I got to tell you. That's why I have to tell you. Let me tell you a quick story. Absolutely true. I was always a big kid. But I was younger, I was a big fat kid. And I think I've mentioned this before. I went to go play midget football and they went, you know we got a 90-pound weight limit. What do you mean? I play with my friends. I can't come play here? No, hey, you're a little bit too big, bud. You got to go. And they wouldn't let me play midget football. And then they said you had to wait until you get older, you can play with the bigger boys. And I'm like, okay. And so what I did was I played baseball, basketball, did everything as a little kid to get ready. And then when I was just getting ready to go play football, I'm like, okay, we're going to have physicals. All right, what's physical? I'll do that. Oh, hey, your blood pressure is a little bit too high for your age. You're going to have to sit it out until you get that under control or get a doctor's note. And I cried and went home. But I wanted to play. And Mom said, well, let's take you to a different doctor. And the doctor looked at me and he's like, how the heck do they think this kid's going to get in shape if he can't play sports? Good question. Here's a note. Go play. And that's how I was able to begin playing football. Somebody said, go get your butt out there. Don't take no for an answer. And that was it. That was the first time I learned, oh, so don't take the first no. No, everything. Women, business, real estate, don't take no. No doesn't exist. And these people sitting up there, you think about it for a second. What kind of a mind meld does this have to be? Some Vulcan thing where every person you realize sitting on this panel is a millionaire and they're whining about luxury. When every single one of them, when the show's done, or before the show, people are doing their hair and makeup and wardrobe, and they're going to take a limo to lunch. But not for you. You don't deserve that.
But I can't help but imagine how far $250 million could go for families who can't put food on the table.
Right? That's what I told you. They don't care that it's somebody else's money. You should be giving it away. That is some insidious stuff right there. No, it's not costing the government a dime, but you know what? It's still our money. It's still money that you should be paying to other people. Barry, you don't need that car. Barry, you don't need that studio. Barry, you don't need that. No, you should be giving it to other people. Why? Because we say so? I told you earlier, this is what's going to begin permeating. You didn't need to spend the money even though it's not yours. I mean, not the government. You still should have had your donors pay for people who need food.
That part, that's what struck me. It's a $250 million project. It's going to be tacky and gaudy. You know that.
And people are losing their health care.
And they're losing their health
to
care.
give tax breaks to multimillionaires.
And to billionaires who probably are some of the private donors for this tacky, gaudy, nasty ballroom. And
how can you be bringing up health care and EBT cards for a privately funded ballroom? See, now you're getting to the point, you're starting to see this, is we need to dictate where your money goes. They don't want the average person enjoying prosperity. And they have done such a good job, there's actually people in here who actually believe them. And they were Trump supporters. We shouldn't do well. Why do we talk about money so much, Barry? Because your president does. I voted for this.
the thing that you said, Whoopi, was the first thing that came to mind. It's tacky. See? I mean, and the thing.
It looks like a casino ball.
It looks like Mar-a-Lago. It looks like Mar-a-Lago, which is tacky. And I think for me, the first thing that came to mind was that this is a metaphor for what's going on in our country. He is tearing down the house. He is tearing down the people's house. He's an annihilist. And
that's a word I haven't heard for real estate development before. An annihilist. And there's people in the audience who are listening to this and sucking it up. He's tearing down the White House. Do you know how many times the White House has been added onto or renovated? You know, it's as if he's the first president to do it. Oh my God. You mean other presidents have done it? Oh yeah. Funny, they're not mentioning that. He's tearing it down. It's such a metaphor. Well, you know, it's a metaphor I want to see. The way government has become needs to be torn down. If you want to use that metaphor, you go for it. You go for it with your loser friends complaining about how, you know, he's tearing it down.
I think, you know, he does seem to think that it's his house, that he is a king.
You
and
don't know.
and I mean, just over the weekend, you have 7 million people telling him that's not your house. You are not a king.
Now, I think everybody who has any resemblance of a brain woke up and said, well, we already know he's not a king. You had a make-believe protest because you have make-believe ideology. You people are the ones who think he's a king. You people are the one who decided to have a protest because it was make-believe. Gave you something to do. The rest of us know he's not a king. By the way, the very nature that you were allowed to have a protest, does it dawn on you yet if he was a fascist or a Nazi or authoritarian, if he was any of the things that you call him, you think you would have had a protest? You think you can just walk down the street in front of, you know, certain communists or oh, maybe that's what it is. You think you can just get away with this stuff? Hell no. In order for them to even say the stuff that comes out of their mouths, they have to convince people to believe them. And that's probably the most insidious thing about everything. I know in the comments people are probably like, why do you even listen to The View? Because you need to see what they're doing to people you may know. You wonder why your parents, not your parents, but your friends and family members don't want to have anything to do with you? Watch how many of them start talking about a $250 million ballroom and complaining that it's just not right. You're like, well, what's not right about it? Because now you want to dictate where other people spend their money, which is why they need to keep raising taxes. You don't need to say where your money goes. You don't need to have that influence. We're going to take it from you. And that's exactly what that's the message they're giving. Straight up giving that message. So I don't know what these people are going to do. I don't know how these people exist. They only exist because you allow them to exist. And I don't mean by ignoring what they say, because you got to have a way to combat this. And it's worked because, God, you know, you have seen it with people in our chat who tune out when you start talking about prosperity. By the way, do you know what happens when I see people complaining about prosperity? Understand, I'm an athlete who's a former athlete who faces adversity head on and likes to defeat adversity and not just win, but win big. You know what happens when I see people complaining about me talking about prosperity? Yep, it makes me want to talk about it more. It makes me want to share it with you. Because at this point, I realize the indoctrination is so bad that too many people don't think that the big prize is for them. Every time you see one of these people in the chat saying, oh, I'm comfortable, I'm okay, understand what's happened. They gave up. And I know some people, they might take offense to that, but I'm never giving up. I am never stopping. I am never going to let my daughter stop. I am never going to let my grandkids stop. Because at that point, It's over. Now you're just out to pasture somewhere. You can enjoy yourself out to pasture, but at the same token, when people say, Barry, you retired? I'm already retired. You know why? You know why I say I'm retired? Because I can do what I want, when I want, where I want. There's nobody out there, especially because Robin's not here, that's going to say, you can't do this. You can't afford to do it. See, I'm weird. I'm very weird. Every time we need to make an expense, I go ahead and I sit down with Ashley and I chart out, okay, I need to do this many shows. I need to do them on these days. I need to make sure we've got these sponsors lined up because we're going to go do something. I plan. I'm going to plan where that puck needs to be so that I can do what I need to do, and I'm never letting anybody tell me no. I don't know. Maybe I am weird. I just wish you had some of this weirdness. And so I feel as part of me giving back is to let people know, please don't ever let anyone tell you you can't. Please never let anyone tell you you don't deserve it. Please don't let anyone ever tell you that the car you drive, the house you live in, the clothes you wear, you shouldn't have. Because they win. They win at that point. And you elected a president who's telling you that very thing. There's a reason why he is ostentatious and over the top. He broadcast it. It's a brand. That's what these people on The View don't understand. You look at Mar-a-Lago. Do you know the story of Mar-a-Lago? You ever understand how he was able to buy that property? One day I'll play a video and explain to you how he did that. Talk about negotiating a deal. He was ruthless, and he got it for basically a song, and he understood the showpiece that it was. You know, I don't have a bunch of gold on the wall, and I don't have, French provincial furniture. I don't really like it. But I know how Robin decorates where we live. I know probably where your wife decorates where you live. It's something that you want to show people. And don't let anyone ever take that flavor from you. That's what they want. I keep remembering how RFK complimented Trump for how he had beautified the White House. He would know as he's seen it under previous administrations. Yeah. I went to McDonald's. Silver coins make a great Christmas gift. Yeah. I am more prosperous now under President Trump than I ever was when Democrats were in power. And not only that, they never promoted it. They never talked about people, looking for prosperity. Whatever that definition is going to change by person or person, but no one should ever tell you, okay, you've got enough. That's it. You're done. Nope, shouldn't do that. Think of all the demons they had to exorcise from the White House. Indeed. We finally have a president who's trying to tell everyone that they can be prosperous. A lot of people weren't raised that way. A lot of people weren't trained and educated in that regard. And he's like, get some. And the biggest thing with it is, why would anybody tell anybody else not to? Not a single one of those women sitting up on that panel. You can probably look up online, what is Joy Behar worth? You know what Whoopi Goldberg's got, Jack. And so they're being hypocrites while they're sitting there. While they're saying it, they are being hypocrites. I'm pretty sure if you called Whoopi Goldberg and said, hey, would you like to come play a part in our community theater? She'd probably laugh at you. Her agent would be like, I don't think so. This is what we're going to require from you. See, I've seen these people up close. I understand the creature comforts that they want. I've promoted concerts, and I know I've seen the 20-page writer, where it tells you what food they want and when they want it, and what hors d'oeuvres and what they want to drink. How many bottles of vodka? One day I should show you an entertainment writer. If you saw an I'll tell you right now, if y'all saw an entertainment writer, or as they say in television, the green room, and what they want just to show up, They want to walk in with their entourage and have the drinks over here and the food over there, and a rider, just their catering might cost $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 just for them to have the creature comforts. Now, I doubt they spend that much in the green room at the View, but I bet you they have limo service. The ladies from Real Housewives get limo services. Hey, if you're so worried about people paying money, why don't you tell ABC, you know what? You don't have to pay me this contract this year. I'm going to do this for free. You don't got to pay me $1 million or whatever it is. You know what? Let's have a little bit of fun here, real quick here. The View hosts salaries. Okay. We're going to close with this because I knew it. I freaking knew it. Y'all probably never even looked this up. Probably didn't know you could. I got something for you. The reported salaries for the View hosts vary, with Whoopi Goldberg estimated at $8 million annually, followed by Joy Behar at approximately $7 million annually. Sunny Hostin, salaries reported between $1.6 and $2 million annually. Sarah Haynes is estimated around $1.5. Now you know. It only took that long, and you can tell them to go kiss your goody goo behind. They're all frauds, they're all liars, they're all pampered queens, and they're complaining that you may want something. Bet y'all didn't know that, did you? Meanwhile, DJT doesn't even take a salary. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's all fraud. It's all a ruse to tell people they don't deserve it. You don't deserve the brass ring. Man, I'm a brass ring searching for type of person as often as I can. It's just how I was brought up. That's how they were brought up too. They just decided that they wanted to turn it into lies and make it so that you couldn't do it or you shouldn't do it. Think of how insidious that is. You don't deserve it. You shouldn't want it. You should want to take care of people. Got my check for $8 million? Makes me disgusted. All right, let's talk about some super chats here. Ernest Walker, layoff of the Democrats won't come back and reopen the government. Yeah, exactly. Captain Danny, last night's show was fabulous. Thank you very much. Thank you. Chapo, can't wait for this Sunday's Prosperity Show. Shared last Sundays with a few friends. Awesome. Awesome. Glad you liked it. Many people have fear of failure. In school, they teach failure isn't bad, but in life, failure is good as you learn lessons you can use in the future. Absolutely correct. Yep. You can't move forward if you don't go back. Nikki, I've been buying precious metals that are novelty mints in hopes that they may increase in collector's value just over melt value. Be careful. Be careful. Buddy Sanders, how does Congress get paid now? Oh, they just get their regular checks. It's already built in. It's baked in. Fazul, it's his money, you morons. Exactly. Starfleet, communists don't want people to be wealthy. They think wealthy should be distributed evenly across all people. You're right. Nicholas, how are you? Barry, if this was President Obama doing what Trump is doing, they would be praising it. Exactly. Moshe, the rabbis of Talmud said somebody had 100 define whatever thing you're talking about, wants 200 prosperity. Redeemed Patriot, how far would the paychecks of the View go feeding the poor? I got to give you some for that one. Yeah, if she makes $8 million a year and Joy Behar makes $7 million, that's $15 million. You could really pay some food stamps. Hi, Barry, went to church on Sunday for the first time. Oh, fantastic. Absolutely. God bless you. Demon of Cybertron, people can also buy gold notes for $8 a piece as well. Kind of risky. You know, it's risky because I want to know that, you know, I can go find it. I want to grab it and have it right here. So it's a little bit different. All right, everybody. I will see you tonight about 7:30. going to go have lunch with the wife, give Ashley a call, see how the grandson's doing. Thank you guys for keeping him in your prayers. He was released from the emergency room, so he's going to go home and rest. But thank you very much. It was touch and go since about 7 o'clock this morning because I couldn't get as much information as I want, but he's doing better. Talk to you guys this afternoon. Thank you.
you.